We are now live to YouTube. City Council will begin at 5 p.m.
Often a slippery slope, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. We're live, okay. Welcome, bienvenue, Anine. I'd like to thank our media and broadcast partners for covering tonight's meeting. And I'd like to begin in a good way, as we do, by acknowledging with respect that we are in Robinson here on treaty territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawating. Bawating is home to Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Madam Clerk.
Under agenda item 2, I have a motion by Councillors Gardy and Vezowalan, resolved that the minutes of regular council meeting March 17, 2025 be approved.
All in favor?
And under agenda item 4, declaration of pecuniary interest, Councillor Vezowalan has declared with respect to agenda items 8.32 and 8.33, as her partner is vice chair of the Downtown Association. Councillor Kinnick has declared with respect to agenda item 7.6, as his spouse is employed by the Group Health Centre. And Councillor Spina has declared with respect to the Tourism Development Fund applications, as he is the chair of one of the recipient organizations.
Any other conflicts, Council? None. The Sault Ste. Marie Public Library is on the agenda. I believe it's being deferred.
Yeah, I was just going to do the motion to approve agenda.
Yes, I skipped that.
Councillor Scott, he's not here yet. A motion by Councillors Gardy and Dufour resolved that the agenda and addendum number 1 for April 7, 2025 City Council meeting as presented be approved.
All in favor? That carries.
The Sault Ste. Marie Public Library, that presentation will in fact move to April 29.
Presuming we approve the move.
Okay, quite, yes. And that will bring us to planning. So it's agenda item 8.7.1, 0 Chippewa Street. And I have a motion by Councillors Scott again, Gardy, and Dufour resolved that the report of the planner dated April 7, 2025 concerning application A225Z ZOP be received and that council approve this application in the following manner. Amend the official plan by way of a textual amendment as outlined in OPA 258T170. Amend zoning bylaw 2005-150 as outlined in Schedule A. Approve draft plan of subdivision 57T25501 subject to the conditions of draft approval outlined in Schedule B. Approve draft plan of common elements condominium 57T25502 subject to the conditions of draft approval outlined in Schedule C. Approved draft plan of condominium 57T25503 subject to the conditions of draft approval outlined in Schedule D, that blocks B, D, F, and G be deemed subject to site plan control, that the legal department be directed to apply to the Ontario Land Tribunal to extend the urban service area 156 meters north on the subject property to encompass the lands between the edge of the service area and the creek, and that the legal department be requested to prepare the necessary bylaws to effect the same.
Mr. Tenazzo, it's a doozy of a report, but brief summary, as brief as you can make, the 22-page staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Shoemaker. Yes, it is a complicated application, but at its core, it's actually quite simple. The subject property, it's a vacant 37-acre parcel northwest of the Broadview Gardens subdivision, often referred to as the A-Patch. The proposed subdivision and condominiums, they're essentially an extension of that Broadview Gardens neighborhood, and at full build-out would accommodate about 358 dwelling units in a mixed residential neighborhood. A number of neighbors have contacted planning staff with concerns primarily related to the increased traffic, which will certainly access the site through the existing road network of the Broadview Gardens subdivision and Chippewa Street. Raj Patel, the applicant's planning consultant, is present this evening via Zoom and will provide council with a very brief introduction to the project and coordinate any questions council may have of the applicants. Jaime Garcia of SEMA Plus, the developer's traffic engineer, is also here via Zoom. And then present with us in person is Mike Crescent of Crescent Engineering, who's the developer's civil engineer. Certainly, if council has any questions, I'm also available. And there may be some neighbors in the gallery that may also wish to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tenazzo. We will go to Mr. Patel first.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Raj Patel.
Oh, if you are speaking, we can't hear you.
Hello,
Well, the
can you
closed
hear?
captioning's picking you up.
Hello, can you hear me?
We've had this happen once before.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello,
We can see that you're saying hello, but we can't hear you in the chamber.
it's actually unmute from my side.
Raj, they cannot hear you on the council chambers.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. I think council chambers has a problem.
Okay, Jimmy can
Right.
hear you.
Can you, Jimmy, please check with council if they can hear you?
I believe, could you hear me?
There we go. We can hear whoever's speaking now.
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Now I think problem is fixed. Hi, hello, everyone. Good evening. Mr. Mayor and members of council, greetings from my side. My name is Raj Patel. I'm an urban designer, landscape architect, and international member of Royal Architecture Institute of Canada. I am pleased to present the planning application for 0 Chippewa Street, a 15-hectare vacant property located west of Chippewa, Amherst, and Atwater Streets. The proposal include various approval applications. The mixed residential development proposed a diverse housing mix, which includes 74 semi and single detached lots, 104 townhomes, 180 apartment units in 2 5-story buildings. These homes are complemented by a range of amenities, including a neighborhood commercial block, a public park, a linear open space system along Bennett Creek with a public trail, and a private amenity block. The street network is designed on a grid pattern with sidewalks on one side for the public roads, promoting walkability and community interaction. Our vision for this development is to create a vibrant and inclusive community with various housing typologies catering to all age groups. While our design are open to all, we envision single and semi-detached homes being suited to growing families, townhomes appealing to active adults, and apartments being ideal for seniors, thus providing a quote-unquote circle of life within the community. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to address any question you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Is there anybody in the gallery wishing to speak in opposition to the planning application? Come to the mic and state your name and address.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. My name is Chris Szpatowski. I'm a resident of Chippewa Street for just over 20 years, moving there after we got displaced from the Carmen's Way expropriation. I think I can represent a few of the neighbors that I've been in discussion with ever since this proposal. And I have huge concerns about the traffic, which we just heard. Based on 400, I heard different units. Most families have 2 vehicles. So you're looking upwards towards 600 extra vehicles using the 2 arterial roads that have been proposed through this plan. My biggest concern there is obviously the children and all the neighborhood. The increased traffic, all the heavy-duty vehicles that we will have to endure for how many years through this project. I can conservatively say I'm in around $6,500 taxes. And this is a lot to be putting up with on that nice quiet street. There's only 35 houses from my point to the dead end. I had to utilize that property, used to know the owner, walking dogs every day. In fact, 5 people yesterday, 8 dogs all in there. I'm a fisheries technician by career, and trust me, every time I've seen these developments, and that's 40 years, there's nothing but an attractant for garbage, your beautiful little shopping carts and everything. This is a provincial fish sanctuary in that creek. It was mentioned Bennett. It's actually the West Davigno. There's coho salmon in Chinook and Fall. There's brook trout and rainbow trout. The animal life that I've witnessed and photographed and everything is amazing. All those species will be supplanted. The bird life, yesterday 2 sandhill cranes already starting their family stuff. I've seen coyotes, bears. There's a nice herd of deer, everything. Where are they going to move to? They're going to be displaced. They're going to be supplanted somewhere else. Vehicles, they're going to take some of them out and everything. It's just a beautiful area. My neighbors and I, we keep it clean. And I've seen families utilize the hills for tobogganing and snowing and everything. I realize progress, but rolling it all back and forth. It's my concern is the traffic. Our foundations, where's the guarantee of those 35 homes with all those trucks bouncing all the way down those roads for what, 2-3 years maybe to complete this? Where's the guarantee from the city or anybody that we won't be compromised? My assessed property is probably $650,000. That's a lot of money. Am I going to get that resale? Lots of concerns here. I won't take any more time, but those are some of my concerns, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Other individuals? And we just ask that anyone who follows up doesn't repeat the same points as the previous speaker.
My name is Brian Conway. I live at 58 Amherst Street. I have a few concerns. He addressed several of them, but other ones are we have no crime in our area. Don't think other than maybe a kid opening my door to get in my car. In 15 years, 16 years I've lived there, I've never had a crime issue. It's one of the few places in town that doesn't have it. All these people moving in, it's going to increase. I know the crime rate's going to go up. It's just logical. Another concern I have is right now the arc furnace power line is to go along the river. That's a proposed route. With all this subdivision coming in now, is that going to change? And I live right at the very end of Amherst. I saw an alternate route going right by my house. That's another concern of mine. The traffic, obviously, that's been said. For now, that's what I have. I might have another one. I got to check my list though.
Okay, thank you. Is there another individual wishing to make comment? Just your name and address if you could.
Okay, so previous, you can hear me fine, eh?
Yes, just your
Okay.
name and address.
You louder or no?
No, just your name and address if we could.
Okay, my name's Devin Conway. I live at the same address as the previous speaker. I had some concerns of my own as well that I feel like I could offer from a younger person's perspective here. Again, aside from traffic and crime, which have already been stated, my main concerns is that like the types of people that would be living there. Like when I went to the last meeting, I believe it was in December 2023, like it was mentioned that'd be a mainly senior like living demographic, like in the apartment condominium. So I just want to know if that would still be the same or if plans have changed and if it'll still be seniors or whatever going forward. So my two main concerns, similar to Chris, I come from an environmental background, but mine's forestry specifically. So like forestry and wildlife. I'm concerned about the animal displacement there. As mentioned before, it's a fish sanctuary, but there's also animals there such as coyotes and bears and things of that sort. there's like a increased construction in the area would result in a habitat fragmentation. It would separate animals from their habitats, and it would result in higher risks of accidents on the roads, in my opinion. There's also another concern I had, like for during construction, I'm pretty sure there'll be runoff from the project, from waste product, running into the creek. So again, that just pollutes the fish habitats. It pollutes the things that drink from the water, such as the aforementioned coyotes, bears, anything else that drinks out of the water as well. And just one final concern that I had here is the gentrification in the area. It will result in increased taxes, increased property values. It'll be harder for people of my age, in early to mid-20s, to move into the area to buy a house with the increased housing rates and costs. And like, in my opinion, I just think it'll just be worse in the long run. Like, the poor will get poorer, the rich will stay richer. Like, it's just going to be a non-issue in the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am. If you can come up to the mic. State your name and address if you could.
My name is Donna Russell, and I live at 35 Atwater Street. And I think Chris has already covered some of the concerns that I have. Is it okay if I read my notes?
Yes. Try to the extent possible not to duplicate comments of others.
Okay, so I walk down Atwater Street. We have 80 homes on Atwater, each having 1 to 2 vehicles per household. Most winters with heavy snow, the street is reduced to 1 lane, which meant you had to pull into people's driveways to let someone pass. The street is not wide enough at the best of times. The street Atwater is not directly accessible to Gooley Avenue or Second Line. So my question is, where does the developer think the traffic's going to go when it gets to the end of Atwater Street and on Broadview? If you go to the right and down Rushmere, we have a public school. And then if you go to the left and down Chippewa, we have Cora Collegiate. There's so much traffic in that corner of Gooley Avenue and Second Line. And to have all of this extra traffic is just doesn't make sense to me. At peak times, one of the most concerning issues of increased vehicle traffic on these residential streets is the absence of sidewalks, which will result in a heightened potential of pedestrian vehicle collisions. School kids and anyone out walking must walk on the street because of the lack of sidewalks. Any additional traffic in this area is going to add to the already created issues. Therefore, I am requesting that the developer find an alternative route before this proposed development is to be considered. Also, I'm sorry, my husband sent a letter to the city planner Sunday night, and he has done quite a bit of investigation in this developer. And I don't know if you've received copies of the letter or not, but may I read it? It's 1 page.
Okay.
Okay. It's opposition to the proposed residential development. My husband, we attended the meeting in December. My husband did speak up and he questioned the developer and has issues. I am writing to formally express my opposition to the proposed residential development project located at 0 Chippewa Street. While I understand the need for thoughtful growth and housing in our community, I have serious concerns regarding the developer's lack of experience in undertaking projects of this nature and scale. At the public meeting I attended at the Northern Community Center on December 21st, 2023, Mr. Kang, the developer owner of Mamta Homes, presented a series of computer-generated pictures of houses and residential developments that was there to suggest that he is an experienced builder. At this meeting, I personally asked Mr. Kang about his experience as a developer, how many homes he has already effectively built, and what was the size of the biggest development he had completed at the time. After some back and forth, he reluctantly admitted that his company has never developed a project even close to the size of the proposal, and his experience is limited to the construction of only a handful of single detached homes. The success of any residential development depends greatly on the expertise and track record of the developer. In this case, the developer has no verifiable history of completing similar projects, raising valid concerns about their ability to manage the complexities of planning, construction, environmental compliance, and long-term maintenance. Approving this project without sufficient evidence of the developer's capability puts our community at risk of enduring substandard construction, delays, safety issues, and potentially incomplete or abandoned development. We have seen in our own city and other municipalities how inexperienced developers have left neighborhoods with unfinished infrastructure and unresolved environmental impacts, issues that ultimately become the burden of the city and its residents. I urge the Planning Division to consider these risks seriously. At the very least, a more thorough vetting process should be conducted to assess the developer's qualifications, financial backing, and detailed plans for ensuring quality standards are met. A decision of this magnitude should not be made without a clear demonstration of competence and accountability. Thank you for your time and for considering the voices of community members who care deeply about responsible development. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Folks, please, there'll be proponents on both sides of the position here, so we try to keep the decorum without outbursts. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to this development? Okay, is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the development? Okay, council, questions? Councillor Vezoallen?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to whomever can answer the traffic impact study. I would like to highlight on page 10 and 11, if someone could give us a summary of the collision data and the environmental situations on page 10 and 11.
Thank you. I can take that question. I'm going to refer to the report that we provided to the city for review and approval. Regarding the collision data, we received information from them. It's historical data collected between January 2018 to May 2023 for the 3 visits to the area intersections. What we identified, it was a total of 42 collisions reported in Gully Avenue and Second Line West. The collision data was examined by patterns to determine the potential issues regarding the collisions. As indicated in Table 3 of the report, and Table 2 is the collision summary. We identified that 18 of these collisions were following too close, meaning that it was a driver behavior responsibility. 68 of these collisions were conducted occur on dry road conditions, so weather was not related to the type of collisions, as well as westbound indicated 59% of the collisions was again considered rear end. All of these conditions suggested that it was driver behavior rather than issues regarding to road conditions or the geometric of the mood of the roads at intersections identified as part of our analysis. Any questions?
Thank you. And what year was this study completed? Was this 2023?
The report that we provided to city is dated 2024. I think confirm, which is the last one we have. 04/01/2024.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, Councilor Venezuelan. Councilor Gardy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So just to speak to the concerns as it related to the wildlife, I'm going to speak specifically to the fish. Through you, Mr. Mayor, outside of, I didn't catch who was online on their end of things besides the developer. Is there someone else or no?
The chief planner, Mr. Patel, and the traffic consultant, as I understand.
Okay. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Tenazo. Not only is Mr. Tenazo our chief planning officer, but he's an avid angler. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Mr. Tenazo, do you have any information to share based upon your part of this over, which I know has been a few years? Do you have any information on that besides what's been told to us or what's in front of us?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Gardy. So the applicants did submit a scoped environmental impact study with the application. It's attached to council's package. Essentially, the conclusion is that yes, it is identified as a cold water creek, and there are a number of conditions that have been put in place. So no development within 15 meters of the creek or the top of the bank, and that's the portion of property I note that's being asked to be deeded to the city. There's a number of sort of erosion measures that need to be put in place during construction. And these measures have been sort of put forward through these draft plan of subdivision and draft plan of condominium conditions of approval.
Thanks, which obviously, as you just mentioned there, satisfy those conditions, correct? If they have to be satisfied in order for anything to happen as it relates to the cold water creek, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Okay. I attended the meeting. I can't believe it's been that long ago, 18 months or so ago at the NCC. It was, very, very well attended. The public did have some concern. Well, most people there had concerns and asked a series of questions to which the developer did his best to address. Admittedly, I think, he would admit that the scope of this project is far beyond anything that he's tackled in the past. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the developer, could you just kind of highlight for the public a couple of the developments that you've undertaken over the course of the last several years and what the scope or extent of those were?
Through Mr. Mayor, on the developer's behalf, as his agent and project manager, Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Through Mr. Mayor, as an agent for this project and as a project manager, I can answer that question. Thank you for the questions. First of all, Mr. Mayor, I would like to respectfully clarify the distinction between land development and building construction. In my experience as a private consultant for 20 years, the land developers typically develop and subdivide the land and then sell parcel to builder for construction. Meanwhile, general contractor usually oversee the construction of structure like apartment. While some land developer may also work as a builder, these are two different processes. My client has expertise on both land development and building construction, having successfully completed multiple projects. I am my developer and my client's consultant for many other projects. I'll give you very brief about my company. We are integrated design firm. Our expertise is subdivision. As we speak in Ontario, we are working on 5,000 to 6,000 different lots and units at the various stage of approval.
Mr. Patel,
yes.
specific to this project, while I appreciate you'd like to discuss the various projects your firm's got on the go. We'll keep it specific to this one.
Keeping specific to this project and specific to the builder, through Mr. Mayor, I can give you an example of similar size project. Just last week for same builder and developer, we are working on 240 to 260 apartment unit project, which include 4 apartment buildings. We are also working on the stake townhouse and townhouse project, which I don't remember top of my head, but the one parcel has almost around 100 units. So we have done multiple similar projects. And what I was trying to explain was the difference between the building construction and the development. And in my own honest and honorable opinion, my client has a both experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the same gentleman. In what communities in Ontario over the course of the last few years have some of this work that you speak of been done? Yeah, so that are similar to this project. Like when I was at the NCC, it was my understanding, like many of the people in the audience, that there was single family dwellings built potentially like between like 4 and 10 in different parts of Ontario, and then there was talk of as I recall, an apartment or condominium development that had been underway or was completed. In what few communities could you list that some of this work that you worked with him on, or that he may have worked separately on, just for our kind of consumption here to consider the past record here?
Through Mr. Mayor, thank you for question and clarification. I would like to clarify one more thing, because I was also presented at the public meeting that 4-5 house thing was a confusion. As we know, anywhere in the subdivision project in any municipality, when we develop 100 or 200 semi-detached lots, any builder or developer, they're not going to construct all of them at one time. Many times they sell some of this lot to other builder, and some of their lot they will be developing themselves. And depending on marketing situation, they will develop 5, 10, 20, 25 lots or townhouse at a time. That was my generic answer. To give you a specific answer, the builders, most of area of expertise is in Wasaga Beach, Collingwood. The project I was referring to you about, the apartment, is in Collingwood. Apart from that, Mount Forest, Welland, Ontario. I can name you many community where I've been working with the builder. And in past, before with other consultant, they have also undertaken other project, which include the townhouse. Apart from that, I also would like to add a couple of more things. It's not only about the builder and developer. We have to look at the overall team. In current situation, the finance is the main thing. Without finance, many projects are going south. So securing finance is the most important thing. That is my client's area of expertise. Second thing, we need an architect, we need a developer, we need a planner, we need an experienced engineer, we need an experienced transportation engineer, landscape architect, environmental consultant. So my team, our team, has all this expert to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to this gentleman's point, sir, was my understanding, and I think you kind of reiterated, it was my understanding at the meeting, and it seems that you've reiterated that here by the answer to your last couple of questions, This would be, as I recall them saying, or you saying that evening, another phased-in approach, correct?
No, Mr. Mayor, could you please clarify your question?
Yeah, so you're not going to build like however many 100 units at once. You're going to build some at some portion of them at a time. I would like to get an idea of which, for the public, I would like the public to have a sense of which types of units you would commence with, and in the first stage of this development, what do you foresee being the number of said types of dwellings?
No, Mr. Mayor, good question. So you are right. It will be a phase development. It's a big project. First, we have to do the site servicing. That will also could happen in the phase. The first phase, which builder or developer will start to work on, will be the what we call parcel B. That will include the townhomes, and we'll start with that. Then most likely we will move on to the parcel A, which will be the singles and semis. Then we will move on to the parcel C, which is a commercial, commercial apartment building. And lastly, we will develop the neighborhood commercial, which is a typical process in this kind of development. Thank you.
Thank you. This through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Tenazzo, or the Director of Planning. Mr. Tenazzo, we heard this evening from some of those who are not particularly in favor of this development, that there was some sort of research done into the company or partnership here, and they said that people should look a little more closely or something to that effect. You have a lot of experience in dealing with different developers over the years. I've been quite impressed with how fulsome the information that they've provided to us is. In your opinion, based upon the developers you worked in the past, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are there any concerns that you could share in a public setting?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gardy, maybe I'll answer this question two ways. First, I'll say in terms of putting together a complete application with the fairly rigorous studies that you see attached to this rather lengthy report, the developer passed the bill on that, and all the studies were done by qualified professionals. So there's nothing untoward in terms of the application process. As far as sort of development and subdivisions goes, again, there's a very rigorous process in that there's no digging in the ground, there's no pipe being put in the ground, there's no road being built until the city has entered into a subdivision agreement, which is a very detailed, lots of engineering goes into it, and we secure 100% financial guarantees for that work. So either the development doesn't proceed and where we're at today, or the development proceeds, and if for whatever reason it stops halfway through, the city has the dollars to make decisions on how to finalize it, extend the pipe where it needs to go. So there's, in my 20 plus years doing this, I can't think of a situation where a subdivision was started and then stopped and the city had to step in. Again, because the financial guarantee is up front before the work even begins. So that's a fairly rigorous process to make sure that the taxpayer isn't stuck having to foot the bill.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And I was thinking about that as well. I don't recall anything over the last 20, 25 years anyway. So thank you for that. I'll just make a couple comments. First off, I fully appreciate those residents who live in that immediate area and the impacts that they will see as it relates to, commercial traffic, heavier traffic over the course of, what could be a few years. So I appreciate that. I'm not so much concerned, quite frankly, beyond that as to the traffic of regular personal vehicles traversing those roads. I will say this, that there are a number of streets in that area that aren't in very good shape at all. And if and when these hundreds probably of commercial heavy vehicles traverse those streets, they will be in much worse shape. So I have some trepidation as it relates to that. I was at the meeting, as I've said a couple of times. I thought it was good of the team to be there in front of the residents, and they were asked some very specific, passionate questions by them, and they stood there and answered them. So I think that speaks a bit to their professionalism and their integrity. They answered them to the best that they could. One thing I think, being a representative of the western portion of this community, I think that one is we want our community to grow. And I think that a lot of that development moving forward over the next couple of decades, outside of any efforts that we have to densify our community, is most likely to occur in the west end of town, which I'm excited by, but I also can understand that, if you live in the immediate vicinity, you have some concerns. I don't necessarily like when people reference to, quote, the type of people who are going to live there, because I don't even really understand what that means. Maybe you're speaking of the demographic of people and their age. I'm hopeful that's what you were referring to. But I think the west end of town's got, the long and the short of it, has to get used to development, because that's where the available land is in this community. We're landlocked going north, we're landlocked going east, and we're landlocked going south. So I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to be very honest with everybody in the audience who's here voting against this. I'm going to have a hard time voting against someone who's coming here to develop much needed homes in our community, irrespective of where they're going to be located. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I'm going to listen to my colleagues and make a decision shortly. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardy. Councillor Dufour.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is through you to Mr. Patel. In your capacity as a landscape architect, just reading here in the, going back to the fish habitat, the environmental engineers study, it talks about some recommended measures to mitigate any potential damage to the fish habitat. One of them is prohibiting the use of herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers within the buffer. But it also mentions that the use of these products within the subject property is also not recommended. Are you or is your client willing to adopt certain landscape design guidelines to the development to ensure that as many different species as are used in the landscape design can be ones that do not require fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides in recognition of the fish habitat?
Through Mr. Mayor, thank you for your question. I would like to answer your question in two parts. First part, generally, whenever we work on this kind of project as a landscape architect, we always try to propose the plant species which are natural and native. We don't prefer invasive species. We also don't prefer species which are not hardy and native. So that would be the first part. Second part, for the creek protection, we have an environmental engineer, our environmental consultant. They have done very good detailed study, and we will be following their all recommendations. Third, sometimes practically speaking, from my practical experience point of view, it's hard to control private owner. For example, someone on the single detached home, we cannot control what kind of pesticide they're going to use. However, what we can control is the species. And second thing, what we are doing in this subdivision, that water will not go on the creek without going to the dry pond. So there will be some sort of measure which will, provide a filtration for any pesticide or this kind of invasive material. So, and that also included in our engineering report, that water will not go to creek directly. It will be going through a dry pond, dry stormwater management pond. So yes, to answer your question, we have taken care of that. And apart from that, I would like to also inform that we will be also following the voluntarily some low impact development best standard during the construction. It might be not in our report, it might be not in our conditions, but we, as a consultant, we always advise our client and we always try to follow that to minimize the impact on the site and livelihood to the site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel. Just a final question through you, Mr. Mayor, to Director of Planning, Mr. Tanazo. Mr. Tanazo, when we're meeting under the Planning Act and we're reviewing, what are very substantial applications, are we required to be judging the application as it's stated, or are we permitted to bring in our own opinions about the character or the capacity of the proponent?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor DeFore, we look at the application and not the applicant.
Short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Councillor Dufour. Councillor Bruni?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question to Mr. Tenazo through you. Mr. Tenazo, one of the concerns that were brought up was the traffic. What are your thoughts about the traffic, the amount of vehicles in this particular area? Is there a concern from the city side?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni. So I'm not a traffic engineer. We certainly have our Director of Engineering here and Mr. Garcia, who is the applicant's traffic consultant that's on the line with us here today. I think the traffic consultant has indicated that there is enough downstream capacity in the traffic system to handle the estimated increase in traffic resulting from the proposed development.
Okay, thank you. And another question, Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, if this was approved tonight, when would you start building?
True, Mr. Mayor, on the lighter note, it's $1 million question. Having said that, we have a detailed plan in place. If it's approved, next stage will be I have to secure the subdivision agreement from the engineering and planning. Typically, depending on the municipality, that takes somewhere between 6 months to 1 year process. As soon as I have subdivision agreement, as of now, my clients would like to move ahead with the first phase of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'm just going to ask a follow-up to that because it's relevant to the answer. A subdivision agreement, Mr. Patel said, depending on the municipality, takes 6 months to a year on average. Do we have an average timeline that it takes for our municipality, Mr. Tenazo?
To you, Mr. Mayor, this would be for the subdivision agreement. I would think we would be within that timeline. Again, it depends on the complexity. It depends upon the quality of the submissions. There's a few moving parts, but we're definitely within that time frame.
Thank you. Councillor Bruni, those are all your questions? Councillor Spina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one area of concern, one question I have, and I think either for Mr. Ramil or Mr. Tenazo. If we look at Chippewa Street, and it's about halfway between Chippewa and Broadview and the dead end. So if you're heading towards the dead end, about halfway, there is a large culvert there that diverts water under the road and away. Multiple times a year, I've witnessed that overflow and wash out kind of where the road is and cause a lot of significant issues there. My concern is with the increase of the heavy equipment going through there, will that culvert survive? And is there a plan to correct that issue? Because it's going to be a continuous issue. It has been for years. That's going to be a continuous issue. And I worry about the heavy trucks going over. Will that particular area of the road be able to sustain it?
Ramil?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Spina, and we'd have to have a look at the condition of the culvert. I'm not sure just off the top of my head if that's in our biennial culvert or bridge inspections, that one, but I would have to say, yeah, we will make sure that the road and any of the crossings that are there that Chippewa is our responsibility, and we'd make sure those up to a standard that could withstand the traffic towards the subdivision.
Sure. My concern being if that fails, there's no way out for anyone who lives to the west of that.
So it's through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Spina. Again, kind of looking in the crystal ball here, but we would have to have a look at that ahead of that, just to satisfy ourselves that.
Sure. So could I make a request then, if this is approved, could I make a request that has a good inspection to ensure that it can withstand the potential traffic that would be going over it or be replaced prior to the commencement of the project?
It may be that we already have inspection reports on that culvert. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but yes, we'll definitely have a look.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spina. Councillor Hollingsworth?
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to everyone that attended tonight or is presently here to share their concerns. Personally, I think having you here face to face means a lot to all of us. So thank you for coming and articulating your concerns very well. Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Peter Tenazo. We heard many concerns tonight, and some of my council members touched on them, but you have dealt and worked with many developers. How do you address concerns from constituents?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, I believe you're asking me concerns with regards to the developer. Again, I think we have a very rigorous, time-tested process of subdivisions, subdivision agreements, site plan control for condominium agreements. So we have the tools in place to ensure that if the developer starts building something, it's going to get finished one way or the other.
Okay. I know in the past, sometimes you encourage developers to have a separate meeting with constituents to make sure their individual concerns are addressed. Has that been done before? And is this a possibility that a developer may have a separate meeting with constituents?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the developer held a neighborhood meeting in December of 2023 to introduce the development. And at that time, I think the development was introduced. I think there was quite a bit of conversations. Some changes to the development resulted from that. So the developer has already had that neighborhood meeting.
Okay. I understand that, but it seems that based on the number of people here tonight, there are more concerns since that last meeting. So how can we make sure that these new concerns are addressed? Can you encourage the developer to maybe have another way to have a meeting or communication through a letter?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, I don't think there's anything that we can certainly encourage the developer to do that. Yes, we can't require it, but we can certainly encourage it.
Okay, fair enough. Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Patel. I may have missed this, you may have answered this question, but you mentioned that you hope to, I think 6 months to a year, depending on the whole process, to maybe potentially start to build. What is your overall deadline? What are you hoping for to have the buildings up approximately?
Through Mr. Mayor, answer to that question, again, it will be a phase development. So first we'll be concentrating on the phase 1, which is a townhouse, and we would like to start by next year. Generally, we have to, if we are starting next year, first we have to do the site servicing, which take a couple of months time, sometimes 3-4 months, depending on the weather. Once site servicing is complete, we can start with the foundation. And as of now, my client has a plan to start with some of the townhouse block. So again, it will be as soon as possible for phase 1. Thank you.
Okay. And has your client ever not met their deadlines? I mean, I understand being a developer myself, I understand that circumstances come up and you may be delayed by 6 months or a year, but have you ever had a substantial delay in these projects or a past project? And if so, has it been 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
Through Mr. Mayor, with this particular client, so far I have not experienced any major delay. Sometimes couple of months, few months could happen, and that could be a technical reason. For example, we are ready for construction, but if winter comes, we cannot do site servicing, then we have to wait for next year. That kind of delay can happen to any projects, but otherwise, I have not seen any major delay with this particular builder and developer. Thank you.
Okay. The reason I'm asking this question is that this is nothing against you or your client, but in the past, we've had some other developers that have sketched out a wonderful vision, and unfortunately, they never completed their development. So in all honesty, we have been bitten before in this community, and we don't want to be bitten again. So in all due respect, that's what I was asking about, the deadlines, and basically, if you have a client that has never finished their project, but thank you for answering that. The other question I have is, maybe you answer this. Your client, is this client the only investor, or does this person have other investors behind this project?
Through Mr. Mayor, like if I understood your question, is it your question that does this project include any other investor or like what is the background of my client? Is that your question?
Yes.
So my client's background, he's a developer and builder, and he's also on the finance, he's in the finance business. So some of my other project with my this client, they have some investor, but this particular project, like he's the main builder and developer for this property. So he will be the one who will be making the decision for this project.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you. That's all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councillor Hollingsworth. Councillor Zagordo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Patel. I know you mentioned completion date or rough completion date of phase 1, but do you have an overall completion date for the entire project, the entire subdivision, if it were to be passed?
Through Mr. Mayor, again, I will try to answer your question, but again, as we know right now, there are lots of uncertainty in the market because of event in south of our border, which is beyond our capacity. But otherwise, this kind of project, it's a huge project, 3-phase. Generally, this kind of projects take somewhere between minimum 3 to 5 years time frame to complete all the phase, including the neighborhood commercial phase.
Okay, thank you. Just to follow up, I know, completing a project this large, it takes a lot of planning, and sometimes we don't know the amount of planning. And just to reassure the public and the people that are here this evening, what's in front of us you may not be aware of. So I see things like land use planning justification report, land use compatibility study, scoped environmental impact study, geotechnical study, traffic impact study, engineering comments, building comments, public works comments, PUC comments, Conservation Authority comments, Enbridge comments, and it goes on and on and on. So projects such as these, they do need to go through an extensive process. And so I asked through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Tenazzo, out of all these reports and the comments, are there any grave concerns about this subdivision that we should be aware of in the report?
Mayor, to Councillor Zagordo, at this point in time, there's no grave concerns. There's some challenges, as there is with any big project like this, but not challenges that are out of the norm for a project like this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zagordo. Other councillors, comments or questions? Councillor Caputo?
I'm going to try and be quick, but after the winter that we just had, I would like to know, I guess I'll ask through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Patel, do you have appropriate space for snow dumping in this project?
Through Mr. Mayor, very good question. And answer is yes. Our phase A, which is a detached and semi-detached homes, it's on the public street. So public street is dictated by public engineering. There are standards for that. So there is no problem with that. For parcel B and C, we have provided more than enough space required for the snow storage. Because while we are designing on this project, by the way, we are working on this project for more than 2 years, right? We had a several back and forth with the planning and engineering department, and they ask all this question. We have redesigned this site for probably 5 or 6 times. So we have taken care of that concern. So it shouldn't be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Rumil, just a quick question. Does this development change the grade of street for the concerned residents? I heard like concerns about Amherst, Broadview, not having sidewalks, curbs, that, the streets were in like disrepair. Would this development change anything for the grade of street that these folks are concerned with?
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, we would continue to score our roads with by calculating the PCI scores, the pavement condition index, as we do all of them. And if something happens to the existing infrastructure as a result of this development, that would be prioritized higher based on reduced scores.
And if something were to happen due to this development, like say while it was being built, the concerns about heavy equipment, chipping the roads up and whatever, is that our responsibility or is that the responsibility of the people driving those trucks?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Caputo, so damage during construction of the subdivision would fall, some responsibility would fall to the developer. Certainly we have our maintenance crews at Public Works who we could rely on and fall back on if need be.
Okay, thank you. That's everything.
Thank you, Councillor Caputo. Councillor Kinnick, any question or comment? So I don't miss you? No? Okay. I don't have any questions, but I think that, this is an ambitious development and one that would bring much needed housing to the community. And while I can appreciate that there are concerns, I think that the process of undertaking all these studies and paying for all these studies lends credibility to the lender. They're not going to put money into an effort that they don't have the capacity to complete. And the back and forth with the planning and engineering department and all the various departments that have provided input provides for mitigation or justification of the things that have been brought up, like fish impact, wildlife impact, traffic concerns, land use concerns generally. So I support the development and think that it will do well for the West End generally. With that, we can have a vote on the matter. All in favor? Any opposed? That, I think, carried unanimously.
So Hollingsworth,
In favor or opposed? In favor?
Councillor Zagordo, I didn't get.
In favor.
That is unanimous.
Thank you, everyone who was here on behalf of that matter.
And the second planning item is A325Z, housekeeping amendments to zoning bylaw 2005-150. I have a motion by Councillors Scott and Vazoallen, resolved that the report of the planner dated April 7, 2025 concerning application A325Z, technical amendments to zoning bylaw 2005-150 be received and that council approve the application to amend zoning bylaw 2005-150 as outlined in Schedule A, and that the legal department be requested to prepare the necessary bylaw to effect the same.
Mr. Tenazzo, I won't have you take us through each of the amendments in Schedule A, but can you just give us a reasoning kind of behind the general thrust of the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a city-initiated application to undertake a number of housekeeping amendments to the comprehensive zoning bylaw. A little over a year ago, council approved sweeping zoning amendments that we term gentle density amendments. Essentially, they were done to permit more types of dwellings in more zones. After working with the amended zoning bylaw for a little over a year, we've identified several minor housekeeping amendments to better clarify the overall intent and the original intent of the gentle density amendments. The recommendation is to approve, and I'm available should council have any questions. Thank you.
Questions, council? Seeing none, we can have a vote on the matter. All in favor? That carries. We've got obviously a number of people here for a number of items, the big one being the Downtown Association matter, which I suspect will take some time. So I would like to get to 4 matters that I don't expect to take as much time before that, and then we can go to the Downtown Association matter and try and get everybody that can get on their way. So perhaps we can accept from consent and then go to them, Madam Clerk. 7.1, 7.6, 7.17.
So agenda item 7.1, the preliminary report of the Integrity Commissioner. A motion by Councillors Gardy and Dufour resolved that the preliminary report of the Integrity Commissioner dated February 13, 2025 be received as information.
And Ms. Blunt from Ironside Consulting is here if there are any questions. Are there any questions, Council? Councillor Spina? Or Ms. Blunt?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Council, Ms. Blunt.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few very short questions just for my own clarification, please. Your report indicates that it's a preliminary report. Can you tell me, is there something else coming or is this a final report?
No, that's the final report.
Okay. Is there a reason we use that preliminary report or can we just perhaps make it final report?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, I'm not sure I understand the question. The preliminary report is a required report if an investigation is not going to occur.
Right. Usually a preliminary report would be followed up with a final report. Or not in this case. Any preliminary report I've ever written has been followed up with a final report. That's why I ask. It's confusing to me. That's all.
That is not part of the, or pardon me, through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, that is not part of the protocol. The protocol in the Code of Conduct and in Appendix A is that if the Integrity Commissioner finds no grounds to proceed with an investigation, a preliminary report is provided to Council indicating the reasons why, and that's the end of the matter.
Okay, so and that was the clarification I was seeking, is if there was any other additional reports coming. So no. Okay, thank you. Second question, you indicated several reasons why you wouldn't investigate or couldn't investigate a potential complaint. Can you tell me your reasons here? I mean, it's listed here. Sorry, and I'm trying to find it in the report while I'm reading it here. But essentially, if there are no grounds to conduct the investigation, if it's frivolous and vexatious, or if it's found to be something that is, this isn't the correct word, but punitive on the behalf of the complainant, can you tell me your reasons for not engaging in the investigation?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, in the Code of Conduct on Appendix A, under Formal Complaints Section A, number 6 states, if the Integrity Commissioner is of the opinion that a referral of a matter to him or her is frivolous, vexatious, or has not been made in good faith, or that there are no grounds or insufficient grounds for an inquiry, the Integrity Commissioner shall not conduct an inquiry and shall take the stated the reasons for not doing so in the preliminary report. Councillor Kinnick submitted a statement and 2 pictures that he took on his phone with timestamps as his documents he deemed relevant to his requesting the inquiry. I did a preliminary interview and his responses to the questions related to the photos and the particulars, the information he stated that he felt there was a breach of the Code of Conduct were considered, along with his responses to the questions during the preliminary interview. And it was determined on that basis that there were no grounds for an inquiry. It is possible, as noted under 6, to consider whether or not it's frivolous or vexatious. But my determination focused on Councillor Kinnick's responses to the questions, the documentation he submitted, and the photos. And based on that, I found no grounds to proceed with an investigation, and I found that to be irrefutable. I also found that to make a determination on the basis of the complaint being frivolous or vexatious or not made in good faith was somewhat speculative. So that's why I made the determination on the basis of the information submitted.
Perfect, thank you. So essentially your grounds for not continuing the inquiry, are there no grounds to provide?
There are none.
Okay, and the only other question I have is, can you tell me the cost of this?
The total cost is approximately $2,000.
Okay, and is that including your appearance here today, or is that an additional cost as well?
That does not include my appearance here today.
So a little north of $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spina. Councillor Kinnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Blunt. So from your perspective, Councillor Vaisveld did not have to declare a conflict of interest or request a leave of absence to run in the provincial election.
Councillor Kinnick, that's not the subject of this report. The subject of this report is whether or not her attendance in the council chamber breached the code of conduct, and the finding is that it did not.
Okay, because my complaint was linked to her submitting like, what was it, a leave of absence for the month, and then she was on the staff floor during the leave of absence. That's what my complaint was about. Okay, sorry about that. Don't want to take more time from this than we have to. Just another question through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Blunt. Is it considered normal practice to name the witnesses or the person who filed the request for the report with you?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick. You did raise that question to me, and as a result of that and your inquiry into your right to have confidentiality, I did advise you I would seek a legal opinion on that. And the legal opinion was such that no, that was not a requirement in this particular request.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question to that. If the request was made by a citizen or a staff member, would that have different bearings on your choice to break confidentiality of the filer of the complaint?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick, I think that question in itself I can't answer because it was not part of this preliminary inquiry.
Right. Yes, and I think it's a hypothetical on circumstance based.
All right then. Okay. Thank you for your appearance here today, Ms. Blunt. Next time for your report, I would just ask you if you could please spell my name correctly. Thank you.
Councillor Gardy.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to address hypotheticals. You can cut me off.
Well,
I'm just good. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to address comments that were already made. So I don't necessarily know if I have to touch on the hypothetical. I think that if a member of this body is going to engage the integrity commissioner to investigate, quite frankly, one of our colleagues, they shouldn't be worried about whether or not they're going to be anonymous, because if you have a problem, you're an elected official, and you should have the courage, quite frankly, to engage the integrity commissioner if you feel you need to, and not worry about whether people know it is you or not, because you kind of are operating, in my opinion, at a higher standard when you're representing the public. Secondly, I am hopeful that Ms. Blunt does not have to worry about how to spell Councillor Kinnick's name again, because I am hopeful that everybody around this table can have enough respect for each other to engage the person individually to speak to them about the concerns they have with any kind of perceived, for lack of a better word, misconduct. So I really, really hope moving forward, we can do so in unison and in respect for the betterment of the community and not waste community tax dollars on these sorts of efforts. There are a lot of things that we need to improve in the community. What we don't have to worry about is whether or not someone who took a leave of absence from this body may have had her feet on the carpet on this level or the feet on the carpet one level up. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardy. Other councilors, comments or questions? I will reiterate before we vote on receiving this as information that, actually, I do have a question. Ms. Blunt, does the $2,000 expense that you advised this cost include the legal opinion you had to obtain to determine whether or not there was confidentiality in the complainant's favor?
Yes, it does, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I said at the last meeting that I think this all has been a complete waste of time and money. And that is no comment on your work, Ms. Blunt. That is a comment on the utter the unnecessariness, if that's a word, of this whole investigation. And it is to the detriment of our constituents that we spend time and waste time, frankly, deliberating things like this when we could be deliberating council motions. And so if we want to help our residents and debate things before the council table, at the council table, I should say, it should be things that will have an impact on improving our city in the way that we want to see it improved. This does none of that. And so I thank you for coming tonight, but I hope not to see you again. All in favor? That, we accepted 7.6, Madam Clerk.
Agenda item 7.6, physician recruitment budget update. I have a motion by Councillor Scott and Dufour, resolved that the report of the CAO dated April 7, 2025 concerning physician recruitment budget be received, and that council approve utilizing $15,000 from the City Reserve Fund for physician recruitment, Hospital Reserve Fund to support the 2025-26 physician recruitment budget.
Council, questions on this? Yes, Mr. Councilor Bruni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just I'll be very brief. I am disappointed with the Group Health Center not providing any type of funding to the doctor recruitment because it does benefit them also, as with the hospital, and it benefits the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie. So I am disappointed that the Group Health Center has not put any funding into this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Bruni. Councilor Caputo. And we've got, I should note, Ms. Varpio, who's our physician recruitment manager here, if there are any questions of her.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I am going to make my comments brief. We just went through a provincial election where doctors, healthcare, all of those really good things were promised to us by the Premier, and they were promised to us by every single party. But yet here we are again discussing putting more municipal tax dollars toward physician recruitment. I ask, where are the doctors that the Premier is promising us? Where are the dollars for Northern Healthcare? Though I respect the position of physician recruitment and what this body does, tonight I am going to oppose these dollars going toward this only on the basis that I believe that the more we take on as a municipality, the more the province is going to continue to expect us to take on. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caputo. Councilor Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, I guess, may I ask our guests to our podium?
Welcome to council, Ms. Varpio.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome as well. And thank you for all your hard work behind the scenes. Just for the viewers at home and for actually us, can you explain how this funding helps you? How do you use this funding to attract physicians?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Mayor. This is a small budget that is $300,000, and it is to pay for site visits for physicians to come and visit our city. and to interview with us. It is for relocation allowances for the physicians we have recruited who are coming from within the province, but also from outside of the province. It is for salary. It is for retention of the physicians that we do have, and to attend recruitment events.
Okay. Did I hear for salary? Can you elaborate?
Sure, I can. It is the budget, I believe it's less than 1/3 of the total budget.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, none of this money is to do with incentive, like we don't give a sign-up bonus or anything. Can you comment?
No, we offer no incentives.
Okay. And the other piece is we did do a resolution some time ago about let us start focusing on physician assistants. And it's my understanding that the physician assistants billing is supposed to be changing. So it will allow us to hopefully go after physician assistants. Are you able to comment on that?
I can't at this time, but physician assistants are definitely on our radar.
Okay, so may I make a friendly gesture in the future? Can you say physician assistants as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. With regards to physicians recruitment, I know that in the past you have done a great job in updating us, and hopefully in the future you'll come back and give us more success stories, if that's fair.
That's my intention. Once I've been at this post, maybe even after 6 months, I would be more than happy to come and report my progress.
Okay. If I can just make a comment, Mayor, I just want to echo Councillor Bruni's comment about the group health center. And I have to say I agree with Councillor Bruni because the group health center has unfortunately disappointed our community. So not you, you have done a great job. And I want to say thank you to also many parents that have encouraged their children, adult children, to come back to practice. I know within the last 6 months, 6 adult children have come back, specialists, physicians, to practice in Sault Ste. Marie. And it's because there is the family tie. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. Councillor Vezo-Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks for coming, Ms. Varpio. Really appreciate it. I think my question is probably for Mr. Vare. Mr. Vare, in 7.3 in the metrics of the corporate strategic plan, you have a list of 8 new physicians will be recruited. Can you give us the timeline and what the plan is for those 8 physicians?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Vezo-Allen. Yes, that number actually, Tasha and I worked to come up with that number. And so that is our target for this year, the number of physicians that we hope to recruit to the community.
Okay. And in terms of us being competitive with our northern communities, the City of Timmins announced quite the incentives a few days ago. So like $60,000 startup grant, $150,000 interest-free loan for housing, which was done by the municipality, the hospital, and Anico Equal. So in terms of the strategy, because we aren't offering those types of incentives, what is the plan to make Sault Ste. Marie the choice for our doctors when we're out at these recruitment events?
Certainly through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Vezo-Allen. I think a number of things. One, Ms. Varpio and her work with the different locations in the community, tour the doctors around and work to showcase the community and what it has to offer for our doctors, work environment, quality of life, et cetera. We also are working on strategy as the committee to go out to see if we can also raise some donations and funds that would support our activities. The city is able to issue tax receipts for donations that support physician recruitment, as it is a project of council. And then the third thing I would say to Councillor Caputo's comment as well is certainly we're following very closely and advocating where we can with the provincial government to see what resources that can be brought to bear to assist Sault Ste. Marie in attracting physicians.
And I'll just add to that, that this council funded a NOSM campus expansion study that forms a critical part of our future planning for recruitment and retention of third and fourth year. I think it's third and fourth year, it might be fourth and fifth year, medical students who would practice or do some rotation, lengthier rotations in our community with the hope that they will fall in love with our community the same way we all have fallen in love with our community.
I think just in closing, Mr. Mayor, I think a letter to Minister Jones definitely would be advisable, especially in terms of what we're dealing with in Sault Ste. Marie and our northern comparators, and as well ensure that we have a delegation to the Minister of Health when we're at AMO. Because when you have a place like Timmins having those sorts of incentives, it certainly is a barrier. And I know we're all in this together. We are all worried about people having physicians in Northern Ontario, but that really will make it, I think, much more difficult for us to attract and retain physicians here in Sault Ste. Marie. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vezoellan. Councillor Gardy, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Just real quickly, I think whenever doctor or physician recruitment, health practice, professional recruitment comes up at this table, I think we have to impress upon the medical practitioners in this community how important it is for them to welcome new people to practice here. Because I've heard it before, I'll say it here again, sometimes that's part of the barrier, and it just shouldn't. In a community which is crying for medical practitioners, in a medical institution is often speaks of their staff being overwhelmed. I think it's important that the medical community welcomes the efforts, and once we identify them, helps as hard as they can to get them here. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Gardy. I'm the chair of the Physician Recruitment Committee, so I've got a little bit of insight on that as well that I think it's helpful to share. And I hope I'm not divulging information that was given in confidence. I don't think I am, but the Chief of Staff at the Surrey Hospital, Dr. John Heinzman, is a Suite. He is recently returned to the community after a lengthy career in Southern Ontario. And I have heard similar comments to the ones you raise about physicians perhaps being unhelpful in the recruitment process, and his fresh lens on things when he joined the Surrey Hospital, having heard some of that as well, is that in fact is not happening, at least in his view, and that he is seeing an extremely welcoming medical community to those who are here either as students or as folks on doing their residency here. So at least from his perspective, I can convey that. It's a bit of hearsay at this point, but if I can convey that, it's a welcoming medical community that we've got, and one that embraces new learners and new joinees. Ms. Ms. Varpio, anything to add to that? I know you've been part of those discussions as well.
Sure. I'm very happy to report and stand by the fact we have a very collegial physician community, and they've been most helpful in my short time here in recruiting physicians and retain the physicians we have.
Thank you. No. Other councillors with? Okay, I'll give you a moment to plug the Docs on Ice hockey tournament that took place this weekend, Councillor Hartlingsworth. Go ahead.
I think this past weekend says it all, screams volumes that we are a community that welcomes many physicians. And I think it was one of the biggest, best turnout yet for the special doctors hockey tournament. And again, I think it originally came from some Suites that were physicians that started it. So I just want to say thank you for having this annual event. And it brings doctors from outside of our community to our community, which is a showcase. And you never know, we may have received one or two that may want to come here because of that. So I think you may have had your hands in that. So thank you for that. And it's a big deal. It's huge.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. It was a well put together tournament. I've heard lots of positive feedback from it. With respect to the request for additional funds, I just think that, you know, of all the things we do at this council table, the one that people would probably expect us to do the most is physician recruitment, given the need in the community. I said this at budget time when I was asking that we increase the physician recruitment budget. And the circumstances are that we need yet more money. And I think I said at the time that we will probably need even more money. And while I generally agree it should be the province's responsibility, municipalities across Ontario are putting municipal dollars into this. And if we are not playing in that space, we will be in an even worse predicament than we are currently in. One of the places with the most acute physician shortage in the province. And so any money that we can put towards this to try and alleviate the healthcare needs of our community is money well spent, in my opinion. So with that, I will call for a vote on the matter. All in favor? That carries. Thank you, Ms. Varpia.
Agenda item
717.
7.7, elbows up rally. And I have a motion by Councillor Scott at Vezawalan, resolved that the report of Deputy CAO Community Development and Enterprise Services dated April 7, 2025 concerning an elbows up rally in Sault Ste. Marie be received and that council approve a contribution of up to $1,300 towards the event.
Council, I just want to let you know a little bit of a procedural update here on the council meetings going forward. We've got an addendum, which includes a question from Adam Bernardo, the chair of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. This will be a regular feature of future council meetings. Each member of MIAC will submit a question on a council report. Mr. Bernardo is here, recently elected the chair of MIAC, so congratulations on that, Mr. Bernardo. And we'll give Mr. O'Connor the opportunity to delegate on this report, which is Mr. Lamek's report. But then if Mr. Bernardo wishes to make any comments, we've got your question. But if you wish to make any comments specific to the report, we would welcome you to the mic. So with that, I'll turn the mic over to Mr. O'Connor, previously of apple fritter fame.
I bring no apple fritters this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the Sault Ste. Marie City Council for this opportunity to make this presentation about our potential forthcoming Elbows Up Sault Ste. Marie celebration. My name is Frank O'Connor, and I'm a retired business owner and a retired teacher. With a little bit of time on my hands these days, I felt I needed to do something to help my country, my community during this time of peril and need. I've teamed up with some like-minded individuals, and together we are working very quickly in our attempt to bring an Elbows Up celebration to our wonderful city. What started many years ago by the late, great Gordie Howe rumbling into the corners of NHL rinks around North America with his elbows up has grown into a national phenomenon showcasing our pride, our resilience, our unity, our strength, and our love for this land we call Canada. With the prompting by Canadian icon Mike Myers to get our elbows up, a national movement erupted. Our provincial premiers have capitalized on this notion. Our nation has united around it. Our major political parties are all delivering the same consistent message to keep Canada strong, keep Canada first, keep Canada vibrant, and keep Canada free. Elbows Up celebrations have already been held in Toronto, Ottawa, and yesterday one was held in Halifax, where a member of the Batchewana First Nations elders spoke at it, and she was wonderful and eloquent. Further events are planned for Vancouver and Edmonton. These celebrations draw thousands of unified and peace-loving Canadians in a non-partisanship way to their venues to spend an hour or two together, celebrating their togetherness and celebrating their love for this nation. A small group of us would like to bring an Elbows Up celebration here to the Soo And in the last week or so, we've been working at rapid fire speed to get things together. We are planning on an event here for Saturday, April 26th, and hoping to be able to utilize the Sault Ste. Marie Downtown Plaza. It is our hope that this event will feature local First Nations, local musicians, a rally cry shout out by our mayor and some other individuals, and a finale of a collective choral singing of O Canada. Since this is a peaceful, family, fun, and nonpartisan event, no politicians, no MPs, no MPPs, no political candidates for our upcoming federal election will be invited to speak. If these folks wish to attend, they are doing so as regular Canadians just wanting to shout out with their neighbors from down the road that they love their country. The second and more informal part of the event will showcase our local musical talent. Suites will have the chance to visit with one another, listen to the incredible musical sounds of our city, and just enjoy the afternoon together. Bring your foldable lawn chairs and enjoy the afternoon. Red and white is the order of the day, and to that end, we have a local supplier of clothing. SK Group has been hired to produce the official logo for the celebration. We are working with the Sault Ste. Marie Museum, who will retail the clothing from their gift shop before and after and during the event. We have altered the national logo somewhat. Their logo was a goose. We asked for a beaver sporting hockey gear to commemorate our love of the Greyhounds and our love of hockey in this town. The event will have some operating costs, and we are soliciting financial and in-kind donations from local companies and organizations to help us produce this family fun and celebratory Canadian event. This is all taking place in the span of a few weeks, so we are moving very fast. If in the event there is some residual profit remaining, it is our intent to donate those funds to our Sault Ste. Marie Museum. Our museum preserves and tells the story of our city and our country, and in this light makes it the ideal charity for Elbows Up Sault Ste. Marie to partner with. The Sault Museum will handle donations and expenditures. They effectively will be our banker. What has happened here in Canada in the last several months has stirred many emotions in Canadians. Some are suggesting that our borderline is not real. Some have suggested that our country would be better served to just be absorbed by another country. What we all initially felt was just rhetoric has now become gravely real. If economic forces do not succeed in achieving those ends, what comes next? So what can we Canadians do to counter these kinds of thoughts? We can do what we do best. Stand collectively in peaceful and joyous celebration, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, showcasing to the rest of the free world that we are a proud, sovereign, united nation with love in our hearts for this land and love in our hearts for all its people. We are so grateful to you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. You have proven your grit and determination in showcasing the solidarity of our sovereign nation and the strength of our little community. We know that many of you have been working behind the scenes in recent days and months to reinforce this message of unity and resilience. The planners of this event, three friends who simply got together, we all have the common belief that we can never say no to Canada. And in this regard, we are providing Suites and Canadians with the opportunity to shout yes from the rooftops. We love our country. On behalf of Elbows Up Sault Ste. Marie and the national organization, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. And thank you for organizing this event. Council, are there questions? Councillor Vezo-Allen, Councillor Scott?
Regarding Adam's email.
Oh, yes, sorry, I will. We're still working out the kinks on this, having MIAC members delegate. Mr. Bernardo, did you wish to make any comment on the council report?
Yeah.
Yes, please do. Yep, come on. Up to the mic, yeah. Welcome to council.
Good evening, Mayor Shoemaker, councilors and staff. My name is Adam Bernardo, and I'm the current chair of Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. The wonderful upcoming Elbows Up rally mentioned in the City Council agenda, specifically on agenda item 7.17, there isn't a particular mention on how the city's youth could get invited or involved. Please consider a youth perspective in your decision making. Consider how this event could incorporate youth specifically, as I would love to expand who could be included in the event, as it's very important to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bernardo. Miss Councillor Vesuelen, sorry.
I would like to just give a suggestion, and I'm sure Mr. Hollingshead and Mr. O'Connor will definitely connect with you, Adam, and the MIAC. And also reaching out to other youth councils, I think would be really advisable, such as the Youth Wellness Hub has a youth council, Indigenous Friendship Center has a youth council, there's Youth Odina, there's various other youth groups that I think if you all collectively coordinate, can really add a necessary element to this rally. And I know that Mr. O'Connor and Mr. Hollingshead would certainly appreciate extra help and definitely would invite youth participation. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Councillor Vesuelen. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really quickly, I'm going to say thank you for that, Mr. O'Connor. That was awesome. I unequivocally support everything about this rally. I just have some questions for staff. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to either Mr. Laming or Mr. Vare, have we as a city ever given either money or services in kind to a demonstration? Not, we know it's not political, but any demonstration of any sort?
You, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, we have from time to time provided in-kind services for different events. This one right here, in addition, also has a financial ask for $1,300 to cover costs with extra staffing, tables, chairs that are not included with in-kind services. That being said, there are plans for the city to run the Cantina unit. So if there's any profit made from that facility, which will be selling local craft beer from all three breweries, made here locally, that will offset the $1,300 to some degree, whatever that does to the positive.
Okay, so that's for like events and stuff, but I'm just curious because I'm concerned about setting a precedent that we would then have to, let's say in a month, a totally nonpartisan, very friendly presentation or rally for the Satanists or something that's like totally out there came to us. Would we not have to then give equal treatment, even if it's not something we necessarily support? Like, I support this fully. I just want to make sure we're not setting a precedent that's going to bite us down the road.
Dear Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, we do get requests from time to time. We have brought them to council for free parking for different festivals, musical presentations that happen, and events of that such. We've also helped the Downtown Association with free parking during Christmas. So we have done those types of things before. If it's something we feel that would be in support of the community and in alignment with the corporate strategic plan, we'd bring it to council at a future date.
Okay, so we're not worried about my hypothetical situation.
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, we get requests every day, so we do try to screen them to see how they align, and then we would bring them to council if it's something that's would be beneficial to the community as a whole.
Great, thank you, Mr. Laming. And with that being said, through you, Mr. Mayor, to, I don't see Ms. Field, so Ms. Borowitz-Sebenak, would there ever be a situation where we can get challenged legally if we publicly support something like this and then something gets shot down that's similar, but, you know, just a less desirable group?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, Mr. Laming has cited that there is a process in place where they do vet, so we would rely on that, as well as any of our policies that we have in place that might be triggered with the request. So we'd have to look at each in isolation, but we do definitely have finance policies. We do have policies that CDS also follows in reviewing the requests brought forward. And then also requests are also considered by council. So we would rely on all of those if a challenge was ever to be made.
Great, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you for taking the time to prepare all this, and we'll see you on the 26th.
Councillor Spina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor, your team. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I sincerely appreciate all of your efforts, as I'm sure 76,000 other Suites do, or 78,000 now, I think, Mr. Mayor, we went up. So thank you very much for your efforts. Unfortunately for you, I don't have any questions for you today. But Mr. Bernardo, good to see you. Welcome to council.
Thank you.
I appreciate the email you sent asking a question, and in the interests of engaging you further, I would ask you, when you send correspondence like this, it's great to ask the questions. I would love for you to include your suggestions instead of just asking questions on how youth can get involved. Tell us how youth can get involved. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, what are your thoughts on that, and what can you contribute to this as a leader of youth in our community? What can you contribute, and what do you think you can do to help engage other youth?
On how to get involved.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I think we could probably, a great way to reach out to youth on how to participate in a lot of these events is usually social media. So does Sault Ste. Marie have the municipality, Sault Ste. Marie have like any social media accounts, stuff like that?
You should know that.
I should know that, yes.
Yes, we do.
It does. I think that would be a really, really great way to get the youth involved. I mean, like Instagram, Twitter, all of those things. People use them quite frequently.
Right, and maybe someone like you telling the story.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you. I really appreciate you being involved. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to bring forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Spina. Councillor Kinnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a follow up to Councillor Scott's concerns and questions. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Lamming. So normally we do have like a tourist development fund or the economic development fund that would where groups could apply for funding for events like this. Could we just explain why we're not going this route this time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick, the EDF fund, Economic Development Fund, could be utilized for this type of event. It does meet once a month, and the next meeting is not scheduled till after this date. The $1,300, as mentioned earlier, can be absorbed through the city budget and hopefully offset from the sales from the Cantina unit. So in the interest of time, it was recommended to move forward in this process. But you are correct, this could go through the EDF application process.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all my questions. I just have a few closing comments. I hope your Elbows Up rally is a huge success, and I hope we get a lot of Suites out there in support of your event. Thank you for coming to council.
Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Gardy?
And if there are any American supporters of our efforts here in Canada who want to come across the bridge to put their elbows up in conjunction with us, we should encourage them to too. Thanks.
Councillor Caputo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one question for Mr. O'Connor. You mentioned that we will, or that you'll be selling those shirts. I'm assuming they're those shirts that you're wearing. Beautiful. They're very lovely. The proceeds for that, what does that go toward?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo.
You got it.
Is that right?
Did it, yes.
So this will be part of the revenue needed for operating. We think, based on the bands, the sound, the tech, the insurance, the promotion, that we're going to need somewhere in the $15,000 range total. And we want to use monies from this to help offset those costs. And again, if there's any residual amount at the end, if there's $1,000 left over, we want to donate it to our museum, because the museum perfectly aligns itself with telling the story of Canada.
Awesome. So what's the price tag? How many of these do we have to sell to get to your 15,000 mark?
We just received 4 printed shirts tonight.
Yep.
So we don't know that, but
Okay.
based on what we received for a bill for these, we're not looking to make a lot of money. The gift shop at the Sault Ste. Marie Museum will be the retailer, and we have to work out details as to what we want to market up. But it's not going to be the typical retail markup of 100%. It's going to be substantially lower. We want to get people in these shirts and get them wearing them that day, and get them wearing them after the event,
Okay. If
after the celebration.
if possible, just share it on social media. I'm sure there's a lot of people around here who would love to share it for you as well to get the word out. I hope that you meet your goals and beyond. Money going to the museum is always a great thing, and I appreciate your efforts here. I'm going to bring Mr. Bernardo back just really quickly. Hi, Adam.
Back on the hot seat.
Hi.
Back on the hot seat.
I just wanted I wanted to give you more of a comment than a question. I'm not going to put you in the hot seat like Councillor Spina did. I just want to say you are a representative of the mayor and this council, and we appreciate that. If you see events coming through this community that you want to be involved in or that you think that you can impact further, I'm sure you have a great relationship with the mayor. You can go through him, but also myself and the other councillors are sitting around here would be happy to help you get more involved. It is one of my greatest passions to try and keep youth involved. That means that I think all of our social media, Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, City of Sault Ste. Marie, all of us will gain one more follower today on Instagram, right, and Facebook. But we want to keep you engaged in the best ways possible, and that includes you being able to hold us accountable and assist you. So I just wanted to offer my hand to you. However, I can help, and however the rest of this council can help. Youth is the way of the future, and I'm sure you got a lot of ideas. You look like you got a lot of ideas happening up there. So
Under the hair.
yeah, it's the hair. I didn't want to say it. It's the hair, though. Yeah. But thank you for your question and for your involvement, and maybe we'll see you in one of these seats one day.
Maybe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Bernardo, given the comments here about MIAC and social media, it may be a good opportunity to connect or to have you connect with Lily May, who is the communications coordinator on MIAC, and she can help share this information through the MIAC social media as well. So good outcome there for MIAC to be involved in this. To Mr. O'Connor, so that you can get the message out there to the community, date of the event?
The date of the event is Saturday, April 26th. And although it's out there in the news already, we're going to officially launch it tomorrow morning.
Time of the event?
The time of the event starting at 1 o'clock. And that will be the official celebration part, which will be about an hour and a half, based on what we've seen in Toronto, Ottawa, and Halifax yesterday. And then the band's playing afterwards till about 6 o'clock. We would like to be done. We have 3 acts already booked for the event and a professional sound system. So what we need now is for the ice to melt on that rink.
We're all waiting for the ice to melt.
Yes.
And if any businesses or individuals in the community wish to contribute to the Elbows Up rally, if they get in touch with my office, I can put them in touch with you.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Perfect. And finally, I will note, just because the question of Sault, Michigan came up, that from what I've seen on social media, it appears that they are holding something, perhaps coincidentally in conjunction or perhaps intentionally in conjunction, called Bridging Our Friendship, a solidarity rally on their side, 1 o'clock on the 26th as well. So hopefully we can bridge that friendship and remind everyone of the history of
the Twin Saults.
That's right. One nation, one city across 2 nations. So thank you, Mr. O'Connor. We can open this for a vote. All in favor? That carries, and thank you, Mr. Bernardo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council. We have one other little order of business. The first shirt in the community is going out to you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7.21, the Tourism Development Fund applications pulled as a result of Councillor Spina's conflict.
Sorry, Madam Clerk, I think we were going to go to the matters that had individuals here to delegate. The next one was 8.3.
And then we'll come back. Okay.
And then we'll go to the DTA.
Agenda item 8.3.1, the renaming of Rosedale Park to Kiwanis Park. I have a motion by Councillor Scott and Vezo-Allen, resolved that the report of the Manager of Recreation and Culture dated April 7, 2025 concerning the renaming of Rosedale Park to Kiwanis Park be approved. And there are representatives of a Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore in attendance.
Mr. St. Jules, and forgive me, your name, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll get to that in a minute. Good evening, Mayor Shoemaker, members of City Council, city staff, and guests. My name is Serge Vio, and I'm the treasurer of the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore Foundation. I'm also the chair of the Kiwanis Parks Revitalization Committee, and with me is my good friend, past President Jim St. Jules from the Kiwanis Club of Sault Ste. Marie. Well, this journey started with our first meeting with the City of Sault Ste. Marie Parks Department on January 5th, 2022. The Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore, through its foundation, originally contributed $80,000 to the City of Sault Ste. Marie for Rosedale Park revitalization. Along with other community partners and the Kiwanis Club of Sault Ste. Marie, who came on board with additional donations of $60,000. These funds were augmented by 2 public fundraising campaigns and other donations from the Kiwanis family. So far, the Kiwanis clubs in Sault Ste. Marie and various Kiwanis entities and foundations have contributed $184,000 towards Rosedale Park revitalization. Our research shows there are over 24 Kiwanis parks in Ontario municipalities where Kiwanis Club have made a significant investment in parks in cities such as Elliott Lake, North Bay, Kitchener, London, and Ridgetown, to name a few. Just a few weeks ago, the City of North Bay announced the opening of the Kiwanis All Wheels Park. Now I'll turn it on to my friend, Jim.
Thank you, Serge. This is teamwork. We are currently considering further investments in high-priority city parks to benefit the children of our community for many decades. We believe that playing is an essential part of a child's development and critical for the successful growth of both the brain and the body. Playgrounds offer a unique opportunity to support a child's cognitive, emotional, physical, and social development. It would be a tremendous honor to acknowledge the impact that Kiwanis clubs in Sault Ste. Marie have made over the past 99 years to improve the lives of the children in our community by changing the name from Rosedale Park to the Kiwanis Park. Tonight, we respectfully are asking for your support and approval of this.
Thank you, Mr. St. Jules, and merci, Mr. Veilleur. We have questions from council. Councillor Dufour.
Not a question, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to express my own appreciation as the parent of some young children who very much enjoy their time at Rosedale, soon to be Kiwanis Park. Thank you. What a tremendous donation from your group. We appreciate all the hard work, all the sacrifice, everything that went into it. And thank you very much. The community around really enjoys that park.
You're welcome, and we're very proud of that too, so thank you very much.
It's wonderful. Happy to support the name change and continue to recognize all of the work of your club. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dufour. Councillor Spina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No questions, just comments. Over the past several years, I've had the opportunity to run a lot of youth physical health programming out of that park. The investments you've made, you're absolutely correct, are invaluable to the health of youth in our community. The fact that you folks just continue to show up time and time again to help our community in so many different and unique ways is very admirable. And I don't know that we can properly thank you for it. I don't know that renaming the park is enough. But for now, I think it will have to do. We do appreciate all your work, so thank you for doing that, and thank you for being great community partners.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Bruni?
Just a question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the CAO. Will there be a plaque or something prepared to put on the property?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, yes, we'll work with the Kiwanis group to make sure we have appropriate recognition at the park.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bruni, and I'll try not to repeat Councillors Dufour and Spina for their gratitude, but the reality is we couldn't do in our municipal parks what you've been able to do in our municipal parks without taking from somewhere else. So what you, the Kiwanis Club of Lakeshore, have done here is made our community better, and we really appreciate it, and are happy to recognize you. And as Councillor Spina says, this small way for a big hearted donation. So very much appreciated, and you are improving our community one park at a time. Thank you. The motion has been read, Madam Clerk. All in favor? That carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Merci.
That will bring us to agenda item 8.3.2. The downtown business improvement area.
We've got Mr. Luck wishing to delegate. Welcome to council, Mr. Luck. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council staff, and from members of the Downtown Association, also in attendance, and your patience. Thank you. So I'd just like to start off. So in response to council report, Downtown Business Improvement Area Agenda, item 8.3.2, the Sioux Downtown Association Business Improvement Area respectfully objects to the council report, together with other major discrepancies in the report that are needed for council to make an informative decision. The SDA deems the report as incomplete and not inclusive. This report is incomplete and not inclusive as it does not align with the originating resolution of city staff to investigate and compare other communities for downtown activation, promotion, and marketing, and report to council, which is the best direction to accomplish this. We feel that the engagement process with the BIA was not thorough or inclusive to members of the BIA. The input report the SDA provided to city staff was not included in the agenda materials for this meeting, and no mention was included in the council report. Ultimately, this was not a community engagement-driven report and lacks the input of an organization that has been the business and community voice and supported the downtown for almost half a century. We would like to add that the timing of an existential threat to the SDA is irresponsible and short-sighted. The BIA has served and supported its members, as well as the wider downtown and city, during crises, including the pandemic and now a likely recession due to tariffs and world economic uncertainty. By dissolving the BIA, you will ultimately diminish its strength, even through a transitional period to a new model. This should be a time of strengthening the BIA, not removing it. The SDA also believes there is no guarantee of a success in a new model, as there is no set plan or succession plan in place to bring the BIA in-house, included in this report. This is a mention of benchmarking tourism or the Economic Development Corporation, but there are no KPIs in the report to indicate improvement. The members have invested in the BIA for almost 50 years, and with disillusion, this would rob them of their financial commitments that are held in our reserves. They have a right to know and to be provided a plan and model for downtown development. As recognized by the province of Ontario, BIAs are a part of the municipality. It does not need to be absorbed by a municipality if it already exists under the municipality. The BIA model requires a member of council to be representative on the board of directors to liaison between the BIA and the municipality. If we allow an actual transparent democratic discussion and community engagement process to find the gaps and equity issues, surrounding the current BIA in Sault Ste. Marie, we can determine a path forward through a memorandum of understanding and reform the assessment formula for an equitable contribution from each member. So the Downtown Association offers a fourth option to be considered. So this option would be, we would request a hybrid model or 50-50 model in which there is a minimum and maximum percentage levy from members of the BIA that would significantly reduce the assessment and financial contribution from each member, and the municipality would fund the remaining operating budget. This would keep the BIA and amend the assessment formula with commitment and accountability to the city of Sault Ste. Marie. This option both reduces the financial commitment and to both the members of the BIA and the general tax base of Sault Ste. Marie, as opposed to a full commitment from the general tax base if the BIA was absorbed by the city of Sault Ste. Marie. The SDA employs 3 permanent staff members as well as interns and summer students. The organization also occupies an accessible storefront on Queen Street. It has undergone a rebranding to improve communication and place branding. We operate on a $340,000 budget, in part funded by the private businesses, as well through grants, sponsorships, and other income. So if option 2 or 3 are chosen, the operating budget would be, as it is noted, reduced to $150,000 and sourced by the general tax base, as well as the loss of 4 more jobs at the SDA. So I'll just quickly go through some KPIs. Last year, we hosted over 10 major community events, thousands of attendees, not just for the downtown, but for the entire community and visitors to enjoy. We also support many events across the community. So that was 25 last year. We also, ensure we retain metrics on downtown activation. So in 2023, 600 events were held in downtown, showing that things happen downtown. And then also our support for both the downtown, Sault Ste. Marie, and the region, when we administered the digital service squad. That was 112 digital transformation grants totaling $280,000 invested back in our region. So this is providing services to over 700 local businesses, significantly raising digital literacy in terms of allocating grants and sponsorships, just under $430,000 last 4 years. We removed 143 graffiti tags, invest in holiday lighting, as well jointly with the Vivid Art Festival has helped to bring 22 large-scale murals and more to the downtown area since 2019. We also remove thousands of pounds of litter each year, which is a gap in some services. So that's in part of what we do as well. And I guess back to in crises. So back in COVID, we supported businesses through a 50% reduction in levy for the year of 2020. We matched businesses with pandemic relief grants and loans. We ran marketing campaigns to support local downtown businesses during the shutdowns, and we administered DMS, which was a response to the pandemic to bring businesses online when they were physically forced to close. We would also note, since 2018, it was in the report that 11 BIAs were dissolved, but also 9 were created in the same time frame, and 40 since 2010. And if you have read the City of Toronto and their new economic development strategy, they will be supporting the creation of additional 45 BIAs by 2035, which is over the 85 already in place. They value BIAs. To conclude, the board and members of the Sault Downtown Association believes in the value of the work provided. Our levy, raised through additional levy to commercial properties, does not affect the taxes of the community as a whole, while providing additional investment for the betterment of the whole community.
Thank you, Mr. Luck. Council questions? Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to take a second to say thank you to Mr. Luck for this presentation. Very informative. And I want to say, like, from the first time that you presented at council, you're coming through so confidently, and I love to see that type of growth. You've done a great job. If I could, though, what would you say is the major goal of the BIA?
To activate, promote, and eventually be a self-sustaining neighborhood centered in place.
Okay, so you touched on some KPIs. How do those, how would you say those have assisted businesses? And do you have, I guess, any stats to show how the events, garbage pickups, all the things you touched on may have positively affected those businesses?
Absolutely. Through surveys, example, I guess that would be Moonlight Magic. We do follow-up surveys with our members and all say they significantly increase sales for those events. And then with, litter removal, that is overall cleanliness and for both aesthetic reasons and public health reasons.
So in your presentation, Mr. Luck, you touched on that you felt that the BIA was not properly engaged. Can you explain the engagement with BIA and City of Sault Ste. Marie?
So the engagement process was after October, and I think we met with Brent and Tom Vare, Brent Lamming and Tom Vare. Basically was to look at other models with input from us. We provided an input report based off of comparing a BIA model with a district authority model. We engaged with one that did switch from a BIA to a district authority and to get some of their feedback, and that was included in the report we provided. So that was sort of the engagement process. But there was sort of there was a gap in terms of, maybe a vote from the membership and what they felt would be the right path forward.
So in your experience in a vote from the membership, how would that have gone? How is participation in that? How has that been?
Well, the last time there was a vote was in 2015, and the members voted to keep the BIA. And from my understanding, the organization at the time was in a weaker state, but I would suggest year after year, the organization has grown,
right,
and improved services. And based off of many letters of support that we were able to attain in the short time frame that we received to have a position on this, we have a lot of support for the BIA.
I more meant in the past when we have tried to engage members of the Sioux Downtown Association in surveys or any type of engagement. What is what is the engagement like there?
Well, in terms of you can see this in our annual report, which is a part of the agenda package. You can see we are transparent in terms of our emails. We have higher open rates and click rates than the average nonprofits in Canada. So we do have a large amount of participation. And on top of our engagement is not just digitally or over the phone. We physically go door to door to ensure we get the communications to our members. And another project that we're working on right now in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce and the Community Development Corporation is a business retention and expansion, and basically a high-level survey. And then in the beginning of the survey, we determine what's their most preferred method of contact, and just to ensure we have a very good relationship, we know, through these surveys. So yeah, I would say that our...
But do you get participation out of your 200 members, let's call it? How many surveys are you getting turned back to you?
I would say, well, in terms of the BRNE, we are probably doing 1 or 2 a week in collaboration with the CDC there. So yeah, we have a pretty good rate of folks and business in the membership participating in surveys.
Okay. Just a couple of comments from me, Mr. Mayor, if that is okay. I am the counselor who sits on this board. I think that everyone who sits currently on the board is very capable, very dedicated, brings their own strength. And whether you own a business downtown or whether you just love the downtown or whatever it might be, I think that your participation over this term that I've been there has been incredible, and it is much appreciated by me. I will say that where I was going with my questions about participation is that it's very low. When we try and engage, in my experience, when we try and engage members of the BIA in surveys like the one that I had tried to initiate on, having more businesses be open later into the evening, I believe out of 200 participants, we may have returned about 20. It seems to be the same number of businesses and the same businesses who are constantly engaging. And I think that we need to do something to engage the rest of the downtown. Mr. Luck touched upon weakening the BIA with a new model and rolling into that new model and how that would take time. I would challenge us to remember that this BIA has had 5 executive directors in 10 years. Searching for an executive director every 2 years really puts the brakes on progress. I think that while I value what everyone brings to the table, I've seen also what can be done inside of the city when something is brought inside of the city. And I'm quite confident with, moving and progressing things forward with moving it in-house into the city. And with that, I just want to ask one question to Mr. Lamming. Do you have KPIs for when we moved tourism in-house and or when we moved EDC in-house?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Caputo, yes, we do have KPIs for all divisions under CDS, and as you see in the corporate strategic plans now across the corporation. So to specifically, yes, we have about 12 or 15 KPIs for the tourism area. I won't name every one. We have another 7 or so for the Economic Development Corporation. We started the process on KPIs with community services about 7 years ago. All in CDS alone, we have about 100 KPIs in total.
Would you be willing to share just a few of those for the general public?
You, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, under the tourism category, we have the MAT collection KPI, occupancy report for average rates. We have the tourism activities that generate visitor spending. We have GHG reduction initiatives. We have expansion of bike trails. We have our 2 other arms with RNIP and LIP on categories of attracting individuals. We have our social media statistics with respect to site visits for tourism. We also have cultural competency training, and we also have engaging in meaningful discussions with our First Nation partners. That's for tourism. If you want me to go on, I can do the EDC.
Yeah, please.
The EDC, the KPIs that we've established are business attraction with number of jobs creating and or pending. For business development, the number of dollars that are actually in the funnel for the next 5 years. We have funding that's acquired from the EDC initiatives. For Millworks, we're looking at the number of consults and outreach that the team is doing. Also under EDC, we have the summer startup program, and then we also have the Startup Company Plus programs. We want to see how much the money that we have is being allocated to those programs and the businesses that are being established. We also have some goals around meeting with colleagues such as our counterparts in Sioux, Michigan, and also other entities in the region for economic development and provincially that the Director of Economic Development is responsible to attend.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lamming. That's great. I'm going to end my comments there. I think that the BIA has done a great job over the years, but I look forward to seeing how we can improve the downtown from in-house. Thank you.
Trudeau. Councillor Bruni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Luck. Mr. Luck, you said option 4 is your recommendation. Can you please explain why you think option 4 would be the best fit and what advantage would it be?
So in terms of option 4, I would argue that the BIA model is more grassroots and it's centered in place and both historically been in the Sioux since 1976. So with that, because the BIA has a separate assessment, there's a special tax, or you could argue investment from the businesses in the area. Adjusting the levy amount for certain owners that may have larger swaths of commercial property would make it equitable. And many of these businesses that have invested through this special tax for many, many years, they don't lose that. And then for new businesses, it's a smaller ask. The municipality is already looking to, put 150,000 into downtown development. So we just believe that this would be a fair way that appeases a lot of players in this to share costs, share responsibilities. We're already a part of the municipality, so it's like the saying that we're absorbed it doesn't really make sense if the province recognizes BIAs, part of municipalities. We see this in St. Catharines. They have, the BIA has an office right in City Hall, but they still have a BIA. I think there's a way to figure out the fairest way and to retain the BIA because there is support for that model. And we're not seeing as much support for a different model for that. And yes, thank you.
Thank you. For your business owners, what levy do they pay to belong to the downtown association? I guess the membership fees. Is there a formula?
There is a formula. So this is determined by the finance department. We have requested multiple times to get some information on how this is calculated. I believe in the past, I think there were some board members, I think there was someone that can't comment, that they've worked on this formula in the past, but in recent years, in terms of trying to figure out this data and how these formulas are created, we have not been able to receive that. And then also changes with MPAC, you have to make new agreements with them. They can only provide so much information, but you can just figure out, if you have more space and you're a member, you're ultimately going to be paying a lot more. We see with more of the street-facing retailers reap the benefits of the BIA more so, or have more visible or knowledgeable impacts for them, whether that's through events, beautification, or advocacy, than those that may have to pay more. So that's what we're advocating, is that let's just make this fair and we can keep the BIA model, because there are benefits in terms of partnerships within the public and private sector that may not be available to the municipality that you could lose out on.
Okay, thank you. Question to Mr. Ver or Mr. Laming. Will there be a substantial savings for these businesses for paying the membership fee? Like, is it going to be reduced if the city takes over?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, just to put it in perspective, I believe the budget going forward is $219,000 that the businesses must pay. Of that, there's approximately 12 businesses that pay 48% of that fee. So it is a very minor, and there's over 150 that are paying right now that fee. So 12 of them are almost paying half of that fee right now. And Ms. Petracco is in the stands right now. She might want to give a little bit of a break of how that's calculated, just for some clarity if she's available.
Please. but I would like to know how much of a savings. For an example, provide me an example if that's possible.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, how the calculation is done is all the properties within the BIA, I have a breakdown of the assessment and their tax classes. And the downtown levy is only based on commercial assessments. So as you're aware, a lot of the properties in the downtown core have commercial businesses on bottom, residential on the top. Their portion of the levy is based strictly on the commercial portion. Exempt properties are also withdrawn. So any properties that are exempt, city property is exempt. However, the Greyhounds are, their space is taxable, so they pay a portion of it. So then I take the budget and it's proportionate to the budget on their assessment. So the larger the assessment, the larger proportion of the levy that they pay. There has been complications in sharing information due to the fact that it's not considered city information. So tax classes and assessments are MPAC data. And I've been told by MPAC that that's not for me to share with them and for the Downtown Association to reach out to them for that information.
Okay.
Is that
Councillor Bruni.
Thank you.
Councillor Bruni, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, just to give you a sense of the list, it is based on, as Ms. Petracco indicated, the square footage of the business and the size. So, you will have some businesses that would save $400, some that would save $900 for their annual contribution to the BIA. Some of the larger ones, it could be $12,000 to $20,000 that they provide, and there's only a handful of them towards BIA funding. But that gives you a sense of kind of the range that you'd be looking at.
Okay, thank you. I guess I don't have any other questions. Well, maybe one more to Mr. Laming. Mr. Laming, if the city takes it over, how much additional cost would it be to the city, or is the city will be saving money?
Here, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, it's very preliminary. We'd have to look and do a full budget for a full fiscal year, because if it was being directed, it would be referred to budget, and it would have to take place next January 1st of 2026. From initial forecasts that we've done internally, we're looking at about $180,000 to $200,000 that would have to be absorbed from the city from the tax levy.
Okay, thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bruni. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of my questions was asked by Councillor Bruni, but I have another one. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Laming. Mr. Laming, if we moved this under the city, would that limit our ability to apply for grants?
You, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott. In some respects, yes, and some no. So there's two grants right now that we would not be able to apply for. The Tourism Development Fund, that's our grant, so we wouldn't be able to apply for that. They do that for the GTA for a poutine feast. That's $2,750 per year. There's also the Community Development Corporation grant for $2,500. We'd have to confirm if we could still apply for that. That's $2,500. There's also other special grants that the BI has been very successful in with respect to the digital program that was referenced. That was over $60,000. We'd have to confirm that program is now closed. That was a one-time grant that's been carried forward. We'd have to see if we would apply for that. We are eligible to apply for programs such as NOHFC up to 50%. So we would look to apply from those funding streams. We'd also look to maintain corporate sponsors for any events that have been in place right now and look to secure future ones as well.
That's everything I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Luck. I thought your presentation was well done. My first question for you, the bottom line is, for the last short while, you and your team, you and your board have undertaken some significant changes, positive improvements. From the many events, the creative events that you have created has increased tremendously. So congratulations. And it's really brought people down all 4 seasons of the year. Another example of your creativity to make sure that the storefronts are filled, I believe, is called the Zero Vacancy Program. Can you please elaborate on the Zero Vacancy Program that you and your executive, you and your team have implemented to make sure there's jobs, to make sure that there's basically more retail, to basically make sure that our downtown is vibrant?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth. Yeah, to explain zero vacancy, other communities call it Win the Space. It's basically a business incubator program. If there's a vacant commercial space, we will, through the BIA, pay in portion for part of the first few months of the lease. And then during that period, we're collaboratively, we're creating that team right now. I won't say the partners at council, but a number of in economic development, and to basically support those businesses every step of the way. And then there will be, sort of like a judging panel on what best business would fit in that space. So it gives us the opportunity to have more leverage in sort of steering what the business mix can be, and then filling space. And then, the goal at the end of the period of incubation is hopefully a long-term tenant.
Excellent. So it sounds like it's something similar to our city we've done over the last few years, trying to help new businesses through the incubation, through Mill Market, through the EDC and so forth. But it sounds like your group have basically launched this on your own with success. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, this is going to be the year with a new model, and we're very excited.
Okay, good. A couple other questions for you, Mr. Luck. At the present moment, I'm under the impression that you and your team, your staff, have accountabilities and have basically a report card that you have to be accountable for and report back to your board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And can you give us maybe 3 examples of what you're measured on?
That would be through just operations reports, profit and loss as well, and then social media metrics, so changes in terms of our communications. If we have more reach or followers, seeing what communications have done better than others, comparing month to month. Yeah, those sort of metrics.
And I believe number of events that increase per year as another measurement. And I believe your financial positivity is your another key. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you comment on your finances, if you don't mind? I think you mentioned your operating budget is about $340,000. Is that correct?
Yes. So that's including all income that comes in, and we do have a balanced budget this year.
Okay, excellent. And the $340,000, that includes obviously your staff. And how many staff do you have at the present moment?
So currently we have 2 full-time and 1 part-time.
Okay. And,
an intern,
sorry?
And an intern.
And an intern, okay. And your staff at the present, their responsibilities are to plan events, is that correct? And can you elaborate?
Yes. So, I mean, I'm the manager, and then we have a coordinator. So they're basically administration, some communications, and then event planning. And then we have a beautification associate. So he's our individual out in the street, cleaning many of our laneways and removing graffiti, as well as sweeping or removing snow, and also taking dispatch requests.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you do outreach to businesses that are outside the core of Queen Street. Is that correct?
Yes, so we do have a partnership program. They're not a voting member and don't reap as many benefits of the BIA, but we do support, say, a graffiti tag went on their building and then we get approval from them to remove it, things like that. And then some, like we have partners where, if they're doing an initiative that's good for the economy, maybe in terms of attracting talent to the Sioux, we'll include that in our newsletters.
Okay. And so from my understanding, the BIA is interested in expanding the boundaries. Is that right, in membership?
It has been discussed. And another reason why we believe that option, well, not on the report, but option 4 is more palatable for that reduced levy ask. And then we could expand to other boundaries. We've had in the past, I've had emails and phone calls of individuals from other parts of the downtown that used to have a BIA wondering how they could join us. So there is some interest there as well.
And the letters that you held up, the very large stack of letters that you held up, are those all just from the Queen Street or are they partners from outside your core area?
This is majority, again, we did not have a lot of time to get these letters, but the majority, and plus on a Monday, was mostly from our members and then a lot of stakeholders. A lot of organizations and members of the community, they value the work we do.
Okay. So just the comment, I think I heard earlier tonight about a survey back in 2015. That's so long ago, so let's put that in the back burner. Commenting on all those letters, all your stakeholders, that to me sends a strong message that they believe in the BIA or the Downtown Association.
Yes, I agree.
And can you just hold up the pile again? How many letters would you estimate?
From what we could get today, I mean, about 20, I think there's 25 here, and then there's some existing as well from other organizations from the past as well.
Okay. And we have also received a few emails. I believe, if I may say, it's Public Knowledge Music, Case Music, sent a wonderful letter supporting your efforts, supporting the Downtown Association as well. So to me, that's the message that there is great support. Is this the right time to ask Mr. Lamming questions? Okay. Mr. Lamming? Thank you for your report. It's my understanding from having conversations with you, Mr. Lamming, is that you have reached out to the Downtown Association, I think twice, to basically try to engage some ideas for this report. Is that correct?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Hollingsworth, we actually met in person twice and there's numerous email correspondence. So we met on February 13th and again on March 26th. We discussed the alternatives and one of the discussion points that the DTA and Mr. Luck raised was alternative 4, which I included in the report.
Okay. And I think your report is always so well done, but I think you forgot to highlight option 4. It just said alternative idea.
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Hollingsworth, yes, another alternative option I laid.
Okay. Mr. Lamming, we heard tonight that they have a few staff members. If we are successful tonight to basically bring this in-house, will you be absorbing their staff? Or will you be looking for new staff?
Mr. Mayor to Councilor Hollingsworth, if you're looking at recommending to direct staff to do option 2 or 3, that would be referred to budget, and the recommendation there would be have 1 full-time staff member with part-time hours reporting to the supervisor of the plaza, which is in the heart of the downtown core. That position would report to Ms. McLeod up through Nicole Maione and then to myself.
Okay. And this might be difficult to answer this, but roughly speaking, what would that salary be? Plus, I guess, benefits.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Hollingsworth, we'd have to finish a job description or create one and assign the duties. If I had to take a guess on the spot, we'd be looking at probably between $80,000 and $90,000 with benefits all in.
Okay, so that would be on top of what you just mentioned to Mr. Bruni. I think it was Councillor Bruni. You mentioned about a potential budget. Yes, I know you still have to work out the numbers, but hypothetically, you would have to add on the 80,000 plus the benefits to bring it to a real budget of what it's going to cost the city and taxpayers to have this brought in-house. Is that correct?
Mr. Councilor Hollingsworth, that's not correct. That 80 to 90,000 is within the projected budget of the 180,000 to 200,000.
Okay. We also talked about grants. We also mentioned about the certain type of grants that the Downtown Association can apply for versus if it was brought in-house, what we can't apply for. So hypothetically, if we had an advisory committee, we can't still apply for those grants that they currently apply for under the advisory committee idea?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Hollingsworth, I don't believe we would be eligible to apply for the grants that are specific to a BIA. We could apply for grants in general, like through NOHFC. I could defer this to the Assistant City Solicitor for some guidance there, but.
And I could refer the question to Mr. King, who's done the research on the BIAs.
Okay.
Welcome to council, Mr. King.
You through just ask Councilor Hollingsworth, maybe it's just rephrase the question. A little hard to hear back there.
Sure. Hypothetically, if this is brought in to the in-house into the city and we set up more like an advisory committee, do you think in your professional opinion that we can still apply for the same type of grants that the Downtown Association currently applies for?
I think on the hypothetical, it's a little difficult. I'd probably suggest it would depend how that entity is created and then the funding you're going after. So it's a little bit difficult to give you a straight answer on that one.
Okay.
Leave it at that, sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. Thank you. Through you, Mayor, back to Mr. Lamming. Can you summarize basically what benefits, I know you mentioned it in your report very, very, very lightly, but what benefits do you see for the community bringing this in-house? What value? When I read your report, I think you missed a great opportunity to really expand on the value and some other strategy that may have been forgotten. Can you elaborate?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Hollingsworth, there's a number of items that the city's currently doing right now that traditional BAAs do perform. I did list that in the report. I'll repeat them here on what those are. So there's a lot of things that we're doing from a public works perspective on seasonal flower installation and maintenance. Under the street banner program, there's been assistance required from both the arenas team and public works to install and then take them down and reinstall banners through seasons. The city staff are doing Christmas lights and decorations. The downtown foot patrols have now been moved over to city and we're performing the city foot patrols through an outside contractor. The city is performing garbage pickup through public works and transit through the different bin programs that we have. And we're also looking at things to support from holiday parking. And then under each pro and con, they're listed there for both those options for option 2 and 3, if you were considering to bring them in-house. And I don't know if I need to list them all, but they are stated within the report.
Okay. I think it's just important to verbally state them for the people that don't have the report in front of them. There's a lot of viewers that are just listening tonight, so thank you. What you just listed, Mr. Lamming, in my personal view, those are typical municipal responsibilities, and that happens all throughout the whole community. There are Steelton, for example. They're not part of the Business Downtown Association, and we still make sure we have flowers there. We still make sure we do garbage. So I have a hard time really digesting this idea that you're doing all this extra benefit for the Downtown Association when it's a responsibility of municipality. When I did my own research, such as Thunder Bay, which is mentioned in your report, Mr. Lamming, I think it's was it page 7? You had that wonderful chart outlining the different BAs that have been dissolved. And I think maybe I misunderstood, but I think you mentioned Thunder Bay was dissolved in 2018 by council.
Through Mr. Mayor, Councilor Hollingsworth, one is dissolved and there's 2 BIs that remain at Thunder Bay.
Okay, is that the Fort Williams or something?
I believe that's the case. Yes, I believe that was the Fort William BIA because the waterfront BIA and there's another BIA downtown at Thunder Bay.
Okay, so it's fair to say Thunder Bay is not dissolving all their BAs. Is that my understanding?
Mr. Mayor, Council Hollingsworth, that's correct. One was dissolved and 2 remain.
And 2 were created. Interesting. It sounds like to me the trend is that the BAs are not going away. And I'm going to refer back to Mr. Luck. Can you elaborate on Toronto? Did you say that Toronto, who's always watching their budgets very carefully, I think you said they're expanding BAs?
There's 85.
Say that number again?
85.
85.
And there's also a Toronto Association of BIAs as well.
Okay. And why do you think they're doing that?
There's so many unique neighborhoods in the city of Toronto. As we do here in Sault Ste. Marie, BIAs are typically, they're centered in place. And that's what originally the Queenstown Association was, you know, and is through rebranding now the Sioux Downtown Association, but is still very much of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. If in my research preparing for tonight, I did read several different reports. I reread, thank you to Mr. Vare, the consultant that came to Sault Ste. Marie a few years ago to give his input on how we can improve. I thought that was a really good partnership because that consultant worked with all of you. He also worked with the city and he also worked with other different parts of the community. I think we all benefited that. That's a good example of a partnership.
Absolutely.
Continue on with my own research. I read about successful downtowns according to Greg McLaughlin and Leslie Fournier. And they outlined that to have a great successful downtown, it involves great signage, which we have because of that consultant. Sign plans, which we have because of that consultant. So you executed everything that this consultant so far has said. You also, we as a partner, talked about a gathering place. We as a city did create the downtown plaza, but in partnership. And in partnership with many businesses that put their own money into this. One of our medium partners, not to mention it. Also, to continue on, what makes a great downtown is regular events. I think you are doing regular events and you're increasing them. Curb appeal. Thank you to the city of Sault Ste. Marie. We're enhancing the downtown, but it's a partnership. Branding. That's another area that city of Sault Ste. Marie has changed because of our mayor. We have better branding and maybe we can see that happen in the downtown, but through a partnership. Successful downtowns, from my understanding, the downtown is just owned by the community, not a particular entity.
Yes.
And not particularly by a business, by a community. It's a community that wants to give ideas. This means getting regular citizens involved in making a great plan together, not by one group. I'm going to say something that's going to get a lot of attention in the media tomorrow. There's so many times when government feels that it's time to take over and they have the answers. I disagree. As a municipality, we need to keep on focusing on the core reasons a municipality exists, roads, infrastructure, and so forth. But a partnership is where you should go. We created many partnerships in the past. Again, when the Greyhounds were, unfortunately, were in trouble a number of years ago, a partnership was created. Going on with just for another minute, uniform store hours. Hypothetically, do you think if we take over this entity, as in the Downtown Association, do you think the merchants are going to all of a sudden say, yes, we will listen to the city, we will have uniform hours? I think it's going to be very tough to build that relationship again. So that's my question to Mr. Lamming. If this comes in-house, how are you going to create this bridge? How are you going to create a real partnership knowing that you have over 25, 30 letters of support, stakeholders, that are upset? How are you going to mend the relationship?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, we would use our existing staffing resources that we have, and we would be posting for the positions that would be required, developing a strategic plan and executing it.
Again, basically, partnerships are important. And I feel strongly that your team has already created that partnership, and the evidence is there in your hands. So having said in conclusion, 2 more questions. At this time, I'll be honest with you, I would like to see this deferred, and I'll tell you why. Because of all those letters that you have in your hands, I have phone calls that I receive from prominent business leaders in the downtown that are growing their business, that have ideas and solutions to bring the city and to bring the Downtown Association together in a unity, in a partnership. I would like to defer this so that we can make sure that those key business partners that are growing their businesses, that have been on Queen Street for well over 45, 50, 65 years, to have their voice. Unfortunately, sometimes they are not aware of what's happening until it hits council's agenda, such as now. So basically, I also want to conclude that in Mr. Lamming's report, if I saw more concrete evidence that a real change could be made, I would probably support this. The real change in the research I've done is theme. We have not identified a theme for the community. We are a steel town, we're a hockey town. There's a potential to create a theme for downtown along that. I give kudos to Councillor Caputo for doing the dropping of the puck. She was trying to create the theme there. I like to see a theme, and that is very much evidence in all the research that I read is to create a theme. Successful downtowns are basically unification, specific architectural look. Why do people like Niagara-on-the-Lake? They like Niagara-on-the-Lake because it's all streamlined, one type of look. Also, they don't have basically businesses that we don't appreciate, if you know what I mean, because it's owned by one person, and that person can make the right and make the decision on what buildings can be businesses, who can build, and who can basically have specific stores. So in closing, I would like to defer this, and I'd like to see a survey done to really understand if this is what constituents want and see how we can tighten this up. Because honestly, based on the last 2 months, what I've seen happening in the United States, I don't want to happen here in our small community. I want to work together. I don't want one entity to take over a group that is showing positive results. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. Councillor Kinnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few questions for all sorts of people. So I'll start with Mr. Luck. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Luck. Does every business get one vote, or is the vote weighted by how much of the levy they're paying?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick. Any voting, it's member-based. So each property owner is a member. There's some, you can do proxy votes, so a business on behalf of the property owner. That's how a vote is conducted, official vote. So say, like in the last election, we had a vote, and that's how it's carried out.
And just another question. So you have talked about a lot of how your downtown association is supporting retail business. What are you doing for non-retail, like commercial properties or businesses down there?
Right. For like, you're saying like professionals, dentists, things like that?
Yeah, lawyers, yeah.
So with that, we put all professionals into our directory. So basically all our businesses in our boundaries on our Explore page. So you can find all businesses downtown, which is included in a number of hotels here in town. And then that was a good question because we are actually going to run a campaign, and now that's tax season, to to go to some of our tax firms downtown to get those in. So we will be running a promotion like that.
So this is a question for a couple different people, but I'll start with Mr. Luck. Is the tax cut, was that requested by businesses downtown that they didn't want to pay the levy anymore into the downtown association?
We were privy to some information and, I guess looking at historically, that it may not be equitable the way the formula is set now.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Lamming or Mr. Vare, the same question. Was a tax cut requested by the downtown property owners or retailers?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Kinnick, no, staff were responding to the council motion, so we haven't received any direct correspondence from businesses on a tax cut.
Okay. And then again, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Lamming, I think, is we are talking in option 3 there about advisory committee. What would the representation look like? And are we going to be reserving seats for downtown business owners on that committee?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Kinnick, for the first glance at looking at that potential committee, if that were to come in and council were to direct staff to go on that way, it would be made up of business owners in the downtown core representing that area. That's what we'd be looking for that representation, along with supporting staff to support the committee.
Okay, so would it be specifically that, or would it be like some of our other boards where anybody in the community can apply to sit on that advisory committee?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Kinnick, the thought was that it would be very close to what's being represented today with business owners sitting on that committee. If council does direct staff to have additional community members at large or other councillors as part of that committee, that's council could choose to direct us to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all of my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Dufour.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just picking up where Councillor Kinnick left off, through you to Mr. Lamming, it was really good to read in your report about the experience of Oshawa City Council when they dissolved their BIA. You noted that you had some conversations about things they could have done better. Can you tell us a bit more about those conversations and more of what they said?
You, Mr. Mayor to Councillor Dufour, I did speak with the Director of Economic Development there at Oshawa. They did have some good information they provided. They said when it was actually the vote took place, 30 of the 500 members voted from the BIA, so 30 voted to dissolve the BIA. They did state that in retrospect, they did not provide any tax levy, and they just brought it in-house without any staff or events. They only kept one event, and I think it was Cars on King, similar to what our Queen Street Cruise is. And so in retrospect, they wish that they would have been able to have additional staff or part-time hours along with supporting operating funds to be able to deliver more. But in their instance, they didn't provide anything.
Thanks for that. One of the other points that you made in your report was also that Oshawa didn't have a business advisory committee that came over at the time of the dissolution. And at least in your report, you noted that that was a really important thing that they felt like they were missing after taking this step. Is that correct?
Mr. and Councillor Dufour, that's why in option 3, we felt that that was a good addition to have along with the operating funds to still keep that connectivity with the businesses downtown so we wouldn't lose that connection that's already in place and that information is valued. We are partners with the DTA. We work very closely with the DTA on a number of initiatives, almost weekly or at least monthly on some type of topic from some of the divisions, and we'd still want to make sure that we're in close contact with the business owners and individuals because the whole goal regarding whatever options is being undertaken is to activate and promote the downtown core.
Thanks, Mr. Lamming. And our model for this potential hypothetical committee, is it accurate to say that that would be like the Tourism Development Fund Board?
Mr. and Councillor Dufour, that's correct.
Yeah. So to review, offer their expertise, and to recommend expenditures, funding, that sort of thing to city council without having the operational burden of running their own staff, their reporting of requirements, their own financial statements, that sort of thing.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Dufour, that's correct. We take advantage of the staff that we have in-house to have those functions. We also have all the departments with respect to finance, HR to use as a resource, IT, all streams.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm just going to go into that's the conclusion of my questions. Just for my comments, I wanted to offer my own perspective as to this report. And I kind of want to start with something that Councillor Hollingsworth actually picked up on, which is the issue of vision. So for Sault Ste. Marie, as long as I've been on council, as long as I've been knocking on doors, folks have always pushed me, and rightfully so, as to what is your vision for downtown and what is your vision for the waterfront in Sault Ste. Marie. And on those 2 points especially, Sault Ste. Marie has, we've moved the needle a lot of times, but the last 6 years is where we've undertaken some significant structural generational investments into our downtown and into our waterfront. It was started with the plaza, with the Mill Market, and it's set to continue with our waterfront design plan being undertaken by tourism to really drive what the vision is for the next 20 years to tie Queen Street to the waterfront, to have one of the premier destinations in Northern Ontario for not just our whole community, but for everyone who comes here. And when I look at the historical function of the Queenstown BIA, and when I look at the legacy of great work that has been done there, it is also work that has been done and paid for and focused on Queen Street, on the merchants on Queen Street. That's not a bad thing, that's not a negative thing, but I don't know that it ties into the vision of where we want to go as a whole community with a waterfront that is integrated into our downtown and that is a premier destination for the whole city. Because of that, I don't believe that using a governance model that's financed largely by businesses just on Queen Street, I just don't know, I don't believe that that is the right fit to drive the kind of growth and investments that we're looking for. Businesses on Spring Street benefit, businesses on Dennis Street benefit, businesses on all the way down to Gore Street. Our waterfront redesign plan encompasses everything. We have one of the biggest waterfronts in all of Ontario that hasn't seen the level of investment that it needs. And so it is my opinion that if we can bring the services that are currently provided to businesses on Queen Street in-house, and if we can provide the same level of service with the same operational dollars committed and the same levels of staffing resources committed to those Queen Street businesses, I believe that we can actually generate much, much more for the whole community by having that wider vision and that wider scope that only being a department or a division of the city of Sault Ste. Marie will allow. So because of that, and because of what is a fairly significant tax cut for some businesses on Queen Street, which from my conversations with some prior business owners whose businesses ultimately weren't successful, every little bit counts, and those things actually could very well potentially help to spur more of the investment that we want to see in ending vacancies on Queen Street. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much to everybody that has taken the time to get a hold of me, everybody that I've had the privilege of having a conversation with. I hope these conversations can continue because I believe that in order for this to be successful, it will require a robust advisory committee, much like we have for tourism, to bring expert advice to bear. And I think that having that committee be able to be focused solely on a vision for investment and not on the day-to-day running of an organization, I think that it's going to be ultimately more successful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Dufour. Other councillors with questions? Councillor Gardy? Or comments?
Probably a comment. I'm glad Councillor Dufour mentioned the linkage between the waterfront and the downtown. It's an important thing that we have to keep at the forefront of our mind when we're talking about, you know, from Albert Street to the water as a commercial district. I just, everybody in this room shares the same vision in the sense of we want our downtown to be better, right? We just do. I would argue, well, I don't have to argue, you know, it's a fact that, as Councilor Dufour mentioned, this council and the previous council have committed resources and effort and a lot of thought, investment into our downtown. For years, the councils didn't. For years, downtown was the way downtown was. And there was, you know, an iteration of kind of what exists today with the DTA. I think everybody has made valiant efforts and worked hard and believe in the cause. I think your efforts and your cause can be reflected in, as Councillor Dufour put it, a robust or fulsome, however he put it, committee to advise us as option 3 will materialize. The last 40 years of downtown didn't work, in my opinion. And we need to do something different. I appreciate the tough feelings that this may have for some. To the public at large, I will say that they probably won't notice a heck of a lot of difference moving forward in the sense that who's kind of overseeing things, because I think we're going to build on the good work and the ideas that they have. We're going to integrate a lot of what they do. But with the amount of investment that we're putting in there and the plans that we have, I don't see any other way other than us taking the lead on this and moving forward. So, you know, I commend the mayor for having the courage to come up with a plan or a decision that, you know, could be somewhat controversial, but I think it's in, I think, I don't have to put words in his mouth, I'm sure he's going to speak after me, but I think he feels it's in everyone's best interest, including the future of downtown, to take these new and next steps. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardy. Other councillors? Questions or comments? Okay. I will note, to nobody's surprise, that I support option 3. I drafted the motion that is reflected in the council agenda to see this brought in-house and to allocate at this time $150,000 to the transition of the downtown's marketing and development to our internal operations. The path of least resistance, in my view, is to allow the Downtown Association to continue doing what it is doing and to continue achieving the same results we are currently seeing, which are insufficient, in my view. If the downtown is a community priority, which I believe it is, and I think this council believes it is, and I think most of you who are here believe it is, then it should be funded by the community and not the few hundred businesses between Pym and Dennis that front on Queen Street. The Canal District is an important part of our downtown. The Station Mall is an important part of our downtown. The Bondar Plaza is an important part of our downtown. The hospital, as we recently debated, the old hospital, I should say, is the gateway to our downtown, and we took steps to try to beautify it, and we are still working to see that through. I think that the obligation is on the community to invest in its downtown and not on those businesses that front on Queen between Pym and Dennis to put $219,000 out of their pocket to fund downtown events and marketing and programming. That is a community objective and a community priority. Encompassing the whole of downtown is what we should be doing, and we should be doing it with a budget that reflects the proper need to do that work properly, or the need to do that properly. And so I think that $150,000 is a number that we have as a line item available that's currently going towards downtown security that could be reallocated. That's not what I think it's going to cost to do downtown marketing and development properly. We heard 180 today from Mr. Lamming. I think it's going to cost more than that if we expand to include the Canal District, the casino, the Gateway site, the Station Mall, the Bondar tent, and places like that. And it's that difference between the 150 that we've already got built into our budget and some future number that needs to come back to a council meeting in the future to determine what it is going to properly cost. I don't think it'll be 150. I think it will be more. And I will support it being more. But 150 is what we've already got, and I want to show some commitment on this council's part towards putting money into it now so that there's not the risk in December that there will be no money available if we vote at budget time to include, or sorry, if we vote now to dissolve the DTA and vote in the future not to fund it. There will be money set aside now, and there will be the ask for money at budget time. The operations of downtown event marketing and programming, I think, are better run by an organization that has an HR department, communications department, and a departmental structure that allows for multiple people to lean in on when work is necessary. As Councillor Caputo said, there have been, since I've been elected to council in 2014, 5 executive directors in those 10 or 10 and a half years now of the Downtown Association. And every time that there is a new executive director, it takes the focus away from work on development and marketing that needs to be done so that there can be a search conducted, someone hired, and Councillor Hollingsworth, please. A search conducted and someone hired, and then that person tries to carry out the vision of the board and their own vision that they would have advocated for through the recruitment process. So I think that having a structure within City Hall that allows any gaps in employment to be handled within a departmental organization has benefits to our community as a whole. I don't think that the Downtown Association has been particularly effective at doing what it is, what it's advocating that we do, which is allow it to continue to do program event marketing, to do program activation in the downtown. And so I would definitely not support giving municipal tax dollars in some option 4 to an organization that I believe has been ineffective. That's why I don't support option 4. I believe that if we are going to put municipal dollars into it, we should have the responsibility and the blame, if there is blame to be had, for any decisions that are made about the downtown. And as Councillor Dufour said, when we go door to door and people ask what our vision is for downtown, we're only able to control so much of it currently. And I want to be able to say, here's what we can carry out, here's the budget we've set aside for it, and here's what you can judge me on a year from now or 2 years from now or 5 years from now. And so bringing the downtown marketing and programming responsibilities in-house, I think is the way to do that. We have invested millions of dollars into our downtown. Councillor Hollingsworth had a nice list of things that the downtown is doing well. I will just go through that list very quickly. Great signage, paid for by the city. A gathering place, the great majority of which paid for by the city. The redesign and redoing of capital assets, paid for by the city, specifically Queen Street reconstruction. Murals, paid for by the city. So this is the type of thing the city is already investing in, and having someone internally to be able to give us ideas, bring ideas to council, as Mr. Anderson does for tourism, as Mr. Van Staveren does for economic development, is what we should be doing and the path we should be going towards. So I think for all those reasons that we should support option 3, support the allocation of a budget of 150 today, and refer to budget what the difference is that we're going to need. And I would ask staff to bring to us what you think will be need, not what you think can be passed. So, Councillor Hollingsworth?
I'd like to ask for a deferral, and the reason is because I know our staff have some really good ideas that I think would really help us to bring this to a proper closure, such as a theme. I really think that our community have been missing a theme for the downtown.
We've got your deferral motion,
And
Councillor
strategy.
Hollingsworth. Is there a seconder for that motion? There's no seconder for that motion. Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. We can have a vote on the motion on the floor, Madam Clerk.
Motion is by Councillors Gardy and Caputo. Resolved that the report of the Deputy CAO Community Development and Enterprise Services dated April 7, 2025 concerning downtown business improvement area review be received and that implementation of option 3 be approved. Dissolve the current DTA and reallocate activities under the city umbrella with a supporting business advisory committee and incremental staffing. Further, be it resolved that the funding currently allocated to the Downtown Security Pilot Program of $150,000 be allocated to a municipal downtown development budget line item in the 2026 preliminary budget, with staff to report back on whether further funding might be required to properly fund downtown development and marketing on a go-forward basis, and that such report be brought to council for consideration during 2026 budget deliberations.
All in favor? Any opposed? That carries 9-1 from what I could tell.
Councillor Gardy and Chris, okay. So that carries 9-1.
Thank you, Council. Dissolution. That was in the motion. Yep, that was in the motion. Option 3 be approved, dissolve the current DTA and reallocate service activities. Thank you, folks.
And under agenda item 8.3.3, the 2025 Queenstown Board of Management Budget and 2024 Audit Report. A motion by Councillor Scott and Dufour resolved that the report of the Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer dated April 7, 2025 concerning the Queenstown Board of Management operating as the Downtown Association 2024 audited financial statements and annual report be received as information, and that the Downtown Association budget for the year 2025 be approved.
Council, any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor? That carries. Oh, and one opposed. Hollingsworth. That was to approve the budget, Councillor Hollingsworth. Okay. Okay.
So that carries with Councillor Hollingsworth opposed. And that will go, we're all over the place, but we'll go back up to consent. And oh, I should point out that Mayor Shoemaker has declared a conflict with respect to the bylaw regarding the disposition of 657 4th Line East, as the purchaser is a client of the law firm on that matter. And I've had
associated consent matter 7.24.
Okay, and then I also had a request to accept item 7.13, which is the ticketing, and 7.22, which is the policing contract with the Township of Prince.
Council items on consent. Yes, Councillor Dufour.
7.3. No questions, just comment to the CAO. That's a great document. That's exactly what we were talking about. It's clear, it's concise, it's written, it's measurable, it has a timeline, and it integrates with all of our strategic priorities. I'm just really never been one to be excited about strategic plan metrics, but like it's really helpful. Gonna give the community its 30-second plug to actually go through there, because there's some really exciting stuff on there that I think a lot of people for the things that they're interested in, would be quite happy to see the city's working on and publicly committing to. So good job.
Councillor Dufour.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour, thank you for your comment, and I do want to thank staff for working to put that document together. It was a lot of work, and I think it really showcases the great work that's going on across all our various departments and the commitment that staff have on delivering on the corporate strategic plan, and we look forward to reporting back to council in the future on that.
Excellent. Councillor Hollingsworth on 7.3.
Just want to echo Councillor Dufour's point. It was well written. And I think, if I may say, we talked about this before, but I think you could hopefully take some of these ideas and maybe in future reports that we receive, it's time to, I don't know, spruce them up, to incorporate some of this into a template so that we can have more consistency. Love the idea about measurables, and I think you can do that in a lot of other reports. So you're on the right track. Let's see it flourish with other reports.
Anyone else on 7.3? Councillor Vezoela.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Ver, on page 7, when you're talking about the 150 housing starts, I think it was page 7, in terms of the housing starts, is that like a mixed use? Like when we look at those 150, like how are we coming up with that number, and what is the kind of the detail of that, if you don't mind?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Vezowalan, those 150 housing starts are dwelling units, so it could be across the board, townhouses, apartment units, single detached families, and that really stems from the target that the province has set out for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. We're hopeful we can surpass that, but we wanted to make sure we were fulfilling our provincial targets, and we look forward to achieving that number each year.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else on 7.3? Councillor Dufour, other items on consent?
7.7, please. Just a question for the CAO. Thanks for the report. Totally understand the Heart Hub, the reason why we wouldn't necessarily be looking to establish a health equity center in the same way that the original resolution was worded, but can you just comment on, would the city still continue to support either through planning or through other means, like the provision of health and social services in Jamestown as a neighborhood?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour, absolutely. I think really the intent of this report was to highlight we have had some significant investments with the Heart Hub and the Emergency Treatment Fund. We want to see the impact of those investments in the community. Certainly, we need to continue to monitor and advocate for additional resources for the community, physicians, primary care, and other allied services that would help the community, and specifically in neighborhoods such as James Street area where we know there's need. So that's something we will continue to advocate for and keep our eye out for opportunities to enhance our service in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah, just for my part, with the Jamestown neighborhood, even though we might not have the same need for like supervised consumption or addiction treatment resources that we saw when the resolution was first passed, there's tons of kids who live in Jamestown. There's not much there for daycare, right? All kinds of other types of health and social services, corner store, grocery store, all of these things are significant gaps in the service offering in that neighborhood. And even though I know the city's, and I'm not suggesting we get in the business of corner stores or daycares per se, I think it's just really important for senior staff to also recognize that that neighborhood is still in need of some serious investment and improvement. And especially as we see the arc furnace come on, I think that Jamestown and to an extent Bayview as well, those neighborhoods are going to be ripe for redevelopment. And one of the first things people are going to look for in a good neighborhood is those kinds of excellent social services. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Dufour. Other councillors on item 7.7? Councillor Vezowalan.
Thank you. Through you, Tom, and just to kind of continue the conversation that Councillor Dufour has started. In terms of healthcare access, there really isn't anything in that entire area. So we are seeing innovative kind of pop-ups in terms of healthcare, especially for women and children. So Women in Crisis coordinated with the Sioux Community Health Center at their 120 Brock Street to have a open from 4 to 7 p.m., for women's health and children's health. So we are seeing things like that happen. And, at the CRC, the drop-in is, very few hours. So it's, 9 to 11:30, 1 to 4, 1 day a week. And then on the other day, it's just, 9 to 1:30. So we know that there's not a lot of access. So it's not just about addictions, but that neighborhood has really gentrified in terms of there's a lot of young families. There's also a lot of newcomer families, and there's also a lot of retirees and seniors. So I think in terms of moving forward, if we take a look at actually what health equity is, well, we do know that there's going to be the addiction services. We need those like healthy checks and all of those sort of things to be happening within that area. And I think you could probably do some sort of great collaboration with the community soup kitchen and maybe with the Sioux Community Health Center, just like Women in Crisis did. So appreciate the report, but I think remembering that is a neighborhood that's really growing and there's a lot of families is really important to consider.
Councilor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is through you to Mr. Ver. Mr. Ver, would it be typical for a municipality to take on opening up a healthcare center?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Caputo. Typically, there would be other stakeholders in the community that would take the lead on a healthcare facility. Or equity center, as I understand it, as defined. Yeah.
Okay. So by accepting this report today, would this motion be dead in the water, or is this something that we're going to continue to look at?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Caputo, I think it's something we would continue to look at, opportunities to work with stakeholders to see how we can improve services in that area.
Okay. Thank you very much. I do believe that it's an area, obviously, I think we all do, that could really use something like this. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caputo. Councilor Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, I just want to add on to Councilor Caputo's thought. Your question was, again, I believe, can we as a municipality think about opening up a healthcare type clinic, office or whatnot? Maybe according to Mr. Ver, we may not be able to. However, I know that other communities have created a turnkey medical office. So a physician doesn't have to invest into an examination table, into, all those bits and pieces. And the physician floats in and uses it. And that helps to manage costs for the physician, and that physician's more likely to come and practice for a couple of days. Could we, as a municipality, consider doing that to help attract a physician or two or nurse practitioner?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Hollingsworth, yes, other municipalities have done, or one municipality has done that, has got a lot of media attention. So it's something that can be done by a municipality. From staff perspective, when we looked at that, we have other health clinics in Sault Ste. Marie that are looking to grow and looking to provide those services. So our thought was, working to support them and recruiting the physicians, work to ally with other healthcare agencies in Sault Ste. Marie would perhaps be a better way to go, because we don't really want to compete with them either. And so I think our approach would be to look to work with those stakeholder groups and see how we can expand services into areas of the community that need them.
Well, to your point, I don't think we'd be competing. I think we'd just be putting these offices in an area that is underserviced and let the physicians use it. And most physicians would probably want to volunteer some time knowing that there's an office already set up there. Just a thought to explore further. I think there's opportunity still to explore it. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Hollingsworth. Other councilors on 7.7? I'll just note that while the report summarizes the work going on, I think the vast majority of those who have spoken recognize that if opportunities do present themselves to improve health metrics or health access in Jamestown, that work remains ongoing. So that's definitely a key desire, I think, of this council to see move forward where there might be the chance to do so. Councillor Dufour?
7.
7.
The CIP updates.
7, yes.
Yeah. So through you to Director of Planning Peter Tenazzo, putting you on the spot here a little bit, but can you give us a little sneak peek on what the uptake for phase 1 of the CIP has been like so far? Gauge a community interest?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor DeFore. So far we've received 15 per door grant applications. I can't give you a total dwelling count for that quite yet, but 15 applications for that. A lot more interest and a lot of people that felt rushed to get their per doors in for the March 31st intake. So we're anticipating probably at least double that in the next intake. And then the tax increment equivalent grant, that's an open intake, and all the big developments that you're seeing happening there, they're all applying for that. So that's essentially been the uptake to date.
That's great. I think that as a member of the task force that helped to develop this program, and also as someone who talks to a lot of builders and developers in Sault Ste. Marie, I think that there is a lot of excitement around this program. I think that when you look at how our incentives stack up compared to other municipalities, Sault Ste. Marie competes very well, considering we have good planning approvals. We also have the advantage of no development charges. It's become an attractive place to invest, and I think that topping up the program as suggested here tonight is going to be another great way to do that. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing a lot more of those smaller per door grant applications coming through. Hopefully to see a lot of the vacant buildings downtown attract some private investment to redevelop them and hopefully put them back into healthy use, generate some more tax revenue. So thank you very much. Just wanted to highlight the improvements to this program.
Anyone else on 727? I just wanted to add on that one. This is a great example of council having a plan and then being able to scale the plan to the funding that's available. And so we had approved something like this. I want to say it was in, I don't know, August, perhaps September of last year, that didn't have as generous of grants, that didn't have the planning approval refund mechanism, that didn't have as much funding available for some of the per door grants, or the new Sioux Foundation's program. But when that funding came available, the plan existed that we could scale the funding to the plan, and so that's why you see this here revised tonight, something that we had already had in place, as a hypothetical or on a skinny version. We've been able to advance with the help of upper level of government grant that is going to help us achieve our housing targets, and the province achieve its housing targets, and the feds achieve their housing targets. So really great example of doing good work in the first instance and then advocating for its full implementation as to the greatest degree we're able to. Councillor Dufour?
That's all for me. Thanks.
Councillor Bruni? You had other matters on consent?
No. Well, actually, the only one I have here is through you to regarding the asphalt. Obviously, if you drive around town, we do have a few potholes. When does the asphalt plant opens up, and when will the process start?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni. I could make a joke of potholes. What potholes? But I won't. The asphalt plants are most often open after the long weekend in May. We have been in communications and they are hoping to open sooner, but Mother Nature isn't overly cooperating. So that certainly is the business call of the suppliers.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Bruni. Anyone else on 7:15? No? Councillor Scott, other items on consent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 7:12, through you, Mr. Mayor, to, I believe, Ms. Maioni would field this. I'm just curious, as far as sizing, I guess I'll start with, is this roughly the same size of a pro shop as the John Rhodes?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, it is smaller than the pro shop at the John Rhodes.
Okay, and just on that note, did we have a similar problem or difficulty with attracting any proponents for the John Rhodes? I don't remember. I don't think that was anything that this council covered. So,
through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Scott, we had one response for the John Rhodes Pro Shop, which was the current tenant.
all right, perfect. I was just curious to know if there was something about this particular building that didn't make it overly attractive, but you know what? We have somebody and it's great. So thank you.
On 7:12. Anyone else on any other items on consent? Okay, seeing none. We can have a vote on the matter.
Let's have a motion by councillors Gardy, Scott, and Bezo Allen resolved that all items listed under date April 7, 2025, agenda item 7, consent agenda, save and accept agenda items 7.1, 7.6, 7.13, 7.17, 7.21, 7.22, and 7.24 be approved as recommended.
All in favor?
So that will take us to agenda item 7.13. Councillor Scott had asked that to be accepted. It's a motion by councillors. I don't know whether you want to be a mover on it or not, Councillor Scott. I'll leave you there for the time being. And Bezo Allen resolved that the report of the manager of purchasing dated April 7, 2025 concerning event ticketing service provider as required by the Arenas Division Community Development and Enterprise Services be received, and that the proposal of Castellan LLC for a term of 5 years with option to extend up to 3 additional terms of 2 years be approved.
Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the city clerk, because I wasn't going to try to tackle that name. So the reason I asked for this to be pulled may be obvious to some. We had this lovely list of proposals from proponents across Canada and the United States, and unfortunately, the one selected was from the United States. We've spent some time tonight and some time last meeting about making the tough decisions to support Canadian businesses when we can. This stood out. I know that they are the incumbent, and that's great, but times change, and sometimes we need to make these tough decisions to put our city taxpayer money where our mouths are, and I think support a Canadian business in this case. So that was my whole reasoning for pulling this, was I would be way more comfortable if we were to give this to a Canadian business. And by that, I don't mean like a Ticketmaster Canada. I mean one that would be based out of Canada entirely, if possible. Yeah, so that's the reason I wanted to pull this. I don't know where to go from there. I'm just not going to vote in favor of it right now.
Okay. All right. Well, that we could, Ms. Maioni, you've got comment perhaps? No, you're okay? Okay. Councillor Caputo, question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Maioni, how far or close or far were the other bids? Was there any Canadian company that was close?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, there was not a Canadian fully owned and operated company that met the specifications that was close to the 3 that we did that were narrowed down to.
And those 3 were Ticketmaster, Dispatchio, LAN, and what was the other one? Sorry, ticketing.com. So I have a question about this, different than what Councillor Scott was thinking, but is there any advantage seen to using Ticketmaster, since considering that like most people are familiar with using Ticketmaster and likely already have their app.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, there are advantages to Ticketmaster because it is a globally known, well-known, well-used ticket provider. When we evaluated the scope of the project, which was the compliance, which was the technical specifications, as well as the financials, it did not reach the, it was not the one that was recommended.
Was it close?
Considering the financial aspect of it, no, it was not close.
No. Is the third option, is that a Canadian company owned and operated? You said no, none of them were.
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
All right, any other questions? I might ask actually that is there urgency to passing this? I see that there is urgency. I see. Okay, well. Okay. All right, well, we can vote for or against it. All in favor? Opposed? That carries.
Councillor Zagordo? In favor? Councillor Hollingsworth? Councillor Cody's. So that carries on a vote of 7-3 in favor. Councillors Hollingsworth, Spina, Dufour, Vezo, Allen, Caputo, Zagordo, and Bruni. And opposed, Mayor Shoemaker, Councillor Kinnick, and Councillor Scott. Brings us to agenda item 7.21, which is a motion by Councillor Scott and Zoellen. Resolved that the report of the Director of Tourism and Community Development dated April 7, 2025 be received, and that the recommendation of the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors to allocate $23,000 as detailed below be approved. Community Strong Race Weekend, $4,000. Northern Ontario Service Deliverers Association AGM, $2,000. Sioux Cycling Club Ontario Cup Mountain Bike Race, $10,000. Queen Street Cruise, $5,000. And Warhammer Battle at the Bridge, $40K, $2,000.
Questions? All in favor? Carries.
Councillor Hollingsworth, in favor? And Councillor Scott had asked for agenda item 7.22 to be pulled. There's not a resolution related to it. There is a report with the relevant bylaw appearing under section. That is Police Services Contract Extension for Prince Township.
Can we accept the bylaw, Madam Clerk? When we get to it. There's otherwise nothing to vote on.
Yep. Did you want to ask questions of the report, though? Okay. That will take us to bylaws. It's the report. There's not a vote on it. The vote is on the bylaw. And Then I have a motion by Councillor Scott and Dufour resolved that all bylaws under item 12 of the agenda under date April 7, 2025, save and accept bylaws 2025-49 and 2025-50 be approved.
All in favor?
So bylaw 2025-49.
That's this one.
I have another mover. Councillor Hollingsworth. It's a motion by Councillors Hollingsworth and Dufour resolved that bylaw 2025-49 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the extension agreement between the city and the corporation of the Township of Prince for the provision of policing services to the township be passed in open council the 7th day of April 2025.
All in favor? Any opposed? That carries.
That carries with one opposed.
Yes.
And hold on.
Is it Rooney?
Councillor Hollingsworth. I have a motion by Councillor Scott and Dufour resolved that bylaw 2025-50 being a bylaw to declare the city-owned property being part Civic 657 Fourth Line East as surplus to the city needs and to authorize the disposition of the said property be passed in open council the 7th day of April 2025.
All in favor? Oppose?
Carried. I'll vote for you. And then we have a motion by Councillor Scott and Dufour that this council now adjourn.
All in favor? Oppose? I doubt. Thank you. See you in closed session.